When you eat purple, what does it pass as purple?
Yeah, it's chunky.
Chunky
Like
purple.
chunky peanut, like peanut butter, but
Like
it's
chunky purple peanuts?
Yeah, why not?
3, 2, 1, 0.
You're listening to the Knives Templars. Guys, welcome to the 13th episode of the Knives Templars with Joey, Chris, Odysseer, Eric, and Matthew. I'm your host, Chip Carlisle. We're a growing family-friendly podcast about all things knife making, general banter, and also generally making fun of me. This week, we're excited to have another co-host on with our Maker Mark series that we do through Pop's Knife Supply. His name's Ethan Lee with Ethan Custom Knives. Ethan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Lee Custom Knives, actually.
Well, thank you. That's why you're here on the show. That way you can correct me because I'm full of mistakes. So, but welcome. I've seen your work online, and we got a lot to talk about this evening. But as we always do when we get started, I know Eric's he's sitting in an air-conditioned room tonight, probably much deserved. So, Eric, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks? Eric's eating peanuts.
Space peanuts.
Pretty much space peanuts. I've had a lot going on, and it's been a jam-packed last couple of weeks. But trying to get this shop built, and on top of that, make knives, and then we just started our fantasy build-off for the 2022 YouTube Knife Makers Challenge, and I'm making a ridiculous sword. So it's gonna be a lot of work over the next couple of months, getting the shop built, getting just anytime you take a sword as an undertaking, it is a lot of work, and I'll probably take the full 2 months to finish it, and so it's just been planning that out. It's got dragon scales engraved into the entire spine, and about an inch down the blade, almost the whole entire length of it, and then I'm doing a hand carved dragon head as the pommel on there. Wow. And it's gonna be a lot of work.
Insane.
But I'm excited for it, and I haven't done the hand carving on the handles yet. I've done texture and stuff like that, but it's been trying to plan it out and practice it, because you of course don't want to do your first one on the expensive handle material. So I'm gonna try it on.
Now you're gonna have to break
a wheelbarrow handle.
You're gonna have to break out all of the bricks for the forge this time, aren't you?
Yeah. The forge will probably be. I'll probably break it down into an actual full 3-burner this time, and the forge will be probably about 25 to 30 inch internal chamber, just to make it a little bit easier to get the heat right. And the overall sword length's only going to be about, I think, the way I have it designed right now, about 38 inches. So it's not going to be too big, but it'll be just big enough to be ridiculous.
38 of blade? Plus,
yes.
Plus handle, or 38
plus
total?
handle. No, 38 of blade. And then,
wrong.
and then it'll be hidden tang, and then of course the handle is going to be a 2-handed handle, so it'll be about 10-11 inches of handle.
Cool.
How long do y'all give yourself time wise for these builds?
2.5 to 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
All I want to know is will it maim?
Yes, yeah, it'll be ridiculous. So whenever I do these challenges, I could easily just say, you know what, screw it. It's just a YouTube video. I can heat it up to whatever looks like it's warm on camera and quench the dang thing and just let it be. But no, it's going to have a full-blown heat-treated edge, everything, just as if you were going to make a sword. The hard part for YouTube is you'll see somebody who heats up a sword, and like half of it is a dull red, the other half of it is like gray, and then they quench it, and you're like, okay, listen here, don't you go trying to foul test that and acting like that whole entire thing is heat
That's
treated.
where they go. it will bend.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And,
Ethan. I've never seen an episode other than bits and pieces, and I watched yours on YouTube today. Forged in Fire. So everything I get is just, it's kind of like my guitar playing. It's just the riffs.
I got you.
But yeah, it's fun. I've got a lot going on though. I'm ready to get this shop done. I want to get in the
I
shade.
bet.
So I saw that I typically build 16 inches on center. Last time I built something, and you're going 24 inches on center, which I know is another measurement. But why did you choose 24 over 16?
So if I was building a house, it would be 16 on center.
Okay.
But with a lot of shops, especially sheds, if you see them, a lot of them are 24-inch centers, because you're going to have your exterior walls, but there's not a bunch of load-bearing walls on the inside of it and all that, and it's a very simple roof. So really, all I needed to do was 24-inch centers, and then I'm going to have all wood as the for the walls.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm going to have the exterior is going to be wood, and then of course the interior walls, I'm doing half-inch wood on all the interior walls too, so you can screw in anywhere.
It's going to be a wooden.
Solid.
It's going to be a wooden box.
Yes, so
Yeah.
it's going to be so solid.
Yeah.
You'll be able to have a dance party on the roof when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But
It'll tie
yeah,
in
there's
good.
no need. Yeah,
You may not
it
want
was-
me up on your roof when it's all said and done. ask Otis here.
He was on Otis's roof.
No. Otis, first time he saw me, he goes, "If your beard was white, you could be Santa Claus." I was like,
Give it time.
if you had hair, you could be Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, man.
This is true. We got the accent and everything.
That's Chip's long game. He has a career goal to be a Santa Claus.
Hey,
What's that
ho,
movie
ho.
Billy
Ho,
Bob
ho, ho.
Thornton played in? He was Santa. What is that? Bad Santa?
Bad
Oh,
Santa.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that I guess there's worse things to be than Santa Claus. So, but Eric, it sounds like you've been quite busy. How about making any knives? I saw
yeah.
that you're winding down, but what you got going on knife wise?
Well, I've still got ones that I'm making for commission pieces. That a lot of my commission pieces, if I put out an episode for them, it's a start to finish build. Like I've got one that's going to be coming out that's a heirloom knife that I did, and then I've got a few EDCs that I'm working on right now, and actually about 9 of them that I'm working on right now, and 5 of them are the shop build knives. I'm getting those wrapped up, and then they're doing a few smaller EDCs, and then I've got one that I'm taking the Alabama Damascus that we got from Blade Show, and I'm going to do a Kumai build with that as the cladding, and I started working on that, getting it set up, but yeah, it's just EDC styles so that I don't have to worry about building some crazy kukris and then some choppers and also working on a sword. So it's just smaller knives and then one really big one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you
You
don't
know,
want to overstretch. Overstretch yourself out,
yeah. Don't overdo it, Eric, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I usually wait till the end, but then everybody's tired of listening, so I'm going to go first, and you guys can fight for last scraps. But I've been really fortunate. I did my first full flat grind on a knife,
I
and
noticed.
I was always kind of. I don't know, maybe you guys will think it's silly, but I was kind of afraid to do it. I didn't want to mess up the steel. And I've been making knives for people, so I didn't want to waste the time or the steel. But I thought, I'm just going to go through it, and I did the calculations and took it up to the edge because I have made 2 freehand grind knives, and they're okay. I know that now that I've got an Ameribraid and I can use the conditioning belts and this, that, and the other, and it's a lot easier to freehand and go in and clean those grinds up. But and also with good heat treating, I can go back and clean something up much easier still using my hands after I clean it up from heat treat. But I went ahead and did this with a jig, and I have had requests coming in daily, several times a day, people asking if that knife sold and will I make them one. And I'm still kind of backed up. So I finished all the fleshers, guys. Can I give a hip hip hooray?
Yeah, man.
That is awesome.
Finally. But I did
25 deep.
yeah.
Right.
I did that, and I actually don't mind making more. Just now I can kind of do what I want again. But I made that knife, and I was so tickled. I used bocote, which is the correct pronunciation, and I like to look into the woods that I use and their stabilization properties and this, that, and the other. And it comes from a specific area in Mexico, just one particular area. So it's really kind of a special wood, kind of like ironwood, I guess. It just doesn't exist much anywhere else, and it turned out really beautiful. And if you've ever used the wood, you'll find it's got some beautiful yellows and browns and so on in it. And I'm actually, it's time to do something other than stonewash and acid etch, but it's so hard not to because it's such a cool finish. That I actually like the look, but I think I'm going to try and do something without doing that. I also did something I called the Gentleman's Hunter, and I used that bone and some blue and orange scales for a guy that's an Auburn fan, Auburn Tigers, and that's another one I got lots and lots and lots of hits on. So the neat thing is the interest that people are taking in them, and number two, getting re-energized, because there's a lot of getting energized to make more knives when people are recognizing certainly our works as artists, because everybody on here is an artist. Before you're a knife maker, artist is who we are, and you break it down to the next level, and we just happen to be the knife maker groups and not the people that do mashed potato art or something, trying to turn it into a mountain because they think the aliens will arrive there. He was he was an artist in that movie. So anyway,
did you tell that guy that you put Alabama underneath the scales?
I did. I said,
What'd he say?
I told him I etched in Roll Tide under the scales, and he's like, no, well, nobody will ever see it. And I said, yeah, but I just hexed that team for the next 100 years because I said a blessing over it as I was doing it. And he was like, no. He's a wonderful, wonderful person, but he was still taking that knife. He was just going to try and forget about that. And I told him, no, I didn't do it. I said, are you mad? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, Chris Jones told me to do that.
Cool. Good luck finding Chris Jones.
Passed it on.
There's only a few thousand of us.
Well, I said, Chris Jones, Tomball, Texas. Speaking of Chris Jones, Tomball, Texas, what's going on, Tomball?
Oh, not much. Finally got back into the shop a little bit this week.
All right.
Finished, probably half a dozen knives that I had sitting on the bench for a while that were just in various stages. Got most of those sent out to get my logo lasered on them.
Ooh.
So
Cool.
Getting ready for the Louisiana Knife Show, and then finished up the one that I was telling you guys about, the coyote jawbone with the glow in the dark handle.
That looked really neat.
It's crazy. It's
cool.
so crazy. The coolest thing, I'll have to post a picture of it, but you guys got to see.
Is that sold? Oh, look at it. Yeah, that's beautiful.
The view from the end, right, with the teeth and everything. It took a lot of time to figure out exactly where to drill those holes and make sure you don't drill through the teeth. It smelled awful, something awful when you get to that part. I mean, I've done some antler, but this was worse. It was awful. Even with the respirator, you could still smell it. And then you take it off and you're just overwhelmed with it. But no, this was actually a commission. It was somebody at the at Cowboy Show back in April that walked up to Sarah's table, found those scales, and said, "These are awesome," and looked at her and said, "Will you make me a knife?" And she goes, "I don't do that anymore." She goes, "But let me introduce you to a guy that does." And so she walked him over to my table, and he looked at my designs and said, "Oh, I like that design, that Damascus pattern, this handle." And I was like, "All right, cool, we can do that." So I haven't told him yet that he doesn't listen to this podcast, so he won't know. I haven't told him yet that I'm finished, and part of me wants to kind of just hang on to it until and bring it to the show in September, just because I think it would be a pretty cool attraction at the table. So I may sit on it for a couple weeks without doing the sheath, and then reach out to him and say, "Hey, look, I've finished. By the way, you mind if I keep this until I'll mail it to you on September 12th?" and see if he's
just that I come to the show. I got your
Yeah,
knife.
yeah. Have him come to the show. So
I
think
come pick
he's,
it up.
Yeah,
You
come
may
pick
wanna
up
put
the
it
show,
in
I
a-
got your knife.
You may want to put it in a dye pack bag just in case if somebody steals it. At least you get even some way or another.
Yeah, I did have. So I showed it to a friend of mine down the street who's bought a couple of knives for me, and his son. He wanted to buy a knife for his son for his. He's 16. He wanted to get one for Christmas, and so he decided to go with something similar. But he's not going to do the glow in the dark. He's going to do it on a black backer, so it'll look pretty cool too. But yeah, I got that done. Working on the kukri for another friend of mine, and cranking out some stainless steel chef knives. So trying to get some stock ready to go for next month.
Yeah,
How
that
thick
seems
are
to-
those scales?
How thick are they?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say at the widest point, like I do a Coke bottle on it, and at the widest point, it's probably just under an inch. So
No. I'm talking about the each scale. How thick were they before you started grinding?
Oh man, they were huge because she cast them in resin, and then she didn't. The resin's already like perfectly clear, right? So she didn't sand them down because then she'd have to polish them up for people to see. So, I mean, those things were over an inch thick each scale.
Okay, so the bone was just set on one side, specific.
The bone was
side?
set on the bottom. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
she set the bone in the bottom, filled it with the resin, took that out, sanded the backside flat, glued on the glow liner, and went from
When
there.
you were grinding it, did you ever touch the bone? On
Yeah,
the
you have to.
grinder?
Yeah, you got to touch the bone on the spine.
No, I'm
and
talking
then-
about when you the final shape on the outside
Yeah,
of
there's
the
a-
handle.
Yeah, there's
Do
a
you have
little
any
bit.
exposed bone, or is just
Yeah, there's a little bit up at the top, but it's stabilized and it's got the resin. So I mean, it's perfectly smooth, just like everything else. You don't feel any
if I
bone.
find
there's
out where
no-
you live, I'm gonna go steal it. Just be careful.
Tomball, Texas. Just look
That's
for
right.
the exploded little library in the neighborhood. You'll be in the vicinity.
It's
Chris,
pretty amazing too. This
No,
this
it looks
coyote
really-
actually had
Really
a
nice. I liked it a lot.
he had some good dental hygiene. He was only missing one tooth, and it looked like he went to the vet every year and got a good teeth cleaning. So there's not
So
a lot
Chris-
of decay.
How did Sarah acquire the jawbone to begin with? Did she find a
She
carcass
yes.
out in the woods? Or?
No. She told me that she actually used to, her and Alex Swikowski, who she's, kind of taken over the business for, they used to get them, and she said they'd get them for like super cheap, like just a couple dollars each. And they'd order, 50 of them at a time. And then she said they've become harder and harder to get, I guess because of some of the, maybe there's some, I don't know if there's rules in Texas now around hunting them or what, but they just become harder to get and more expensive. But she has a resource where she can order them, and I guess they come in, cleaned, and, it's not like she's peeling flesh off of it or anything. And so she's able to stabilize it and throw it in the resin. So, because when I called her today, she's like, I'm completely out. I'm going to have to order another one or order some more. So,
Well, let me ask you this: when she gets that back, where would you go to get her knives scales at?
I would go to scalesbysarah.com. SARA. As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski Scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
Well, there you go, folks. Chris has let you know where to go get your scales, and she does some wonderful work. I'll tell you, all of us on the cast have visited her website, and she does some really beautiful artistic work. And when it hits those knives and they're cleaned up, I tell you what, they just stand out beautifully. So go visit Sarah over at the website and check out the products she has to offer.
So it's
Well,
funny.
Chris,
She used to have her website. Well, she still has the website. It's Swikowski Scales, and I told her, I was like, Sarah, nobody knows how to spell Swikowski. Like, when I recorded that bit that we just heard, it took me like 4 takes because I was having to like spell Swikowski. And I was like, half the people can't even pronounce it either. I was like, so you need an easier website. And she's like, but I've already created this one and I don't know how to change it. And I was like, it's real easy. I was like, I will go buy the domain scalesbysarah.com. And then
so that's the new one?
It works. It works. I just rerouted it to her website.
Yeah. Redirect it.
Yeah. Right? I just put a redirect. I was like, look, I'll go into Google Domains. I'll buy it. I was like, just send me 1 set of scales a year. We'll call it even. And I'll just keep paying for it. And we're all good.
So give that to us again just in case I talked over you. It's
scalesbysarah.com.
And Sarah is spelled?
S-A-R-A.
Excellent.
No
Good
H.
deal. Good deal. Go visit her, guys.
Right now.
Right now, let's hear about Odisir Pinto. What's going on with you, my friend?
Not much. Same old. Working on the shop. Grinding some steel. Making a couple of handles. That's it. I mean, not much to tell.
I like how you call me on the way home from your shop for a little counseling therapy sessions while you're driving home, and I use you for the same reason. We just therapyize each other. So I enjoyed our conversation this week.
Thank you.
And also kills your drive time too, makes it a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
How
always good to talk while driving.
Were
hey,
you
that rain
go
that you
ahead.
had today on the way home? Can you send some of that mine in Erick's direction? I don't know.
It was heavy.
I don't know if Joey and Ethan need it
storm,
too,
man.
but we've had no rain. Like, we need rain bad
Got
here in
enough
Texas. So.
Yeah, we
Please
got
send us
hit twice this week. Really, really heavy thunderstorms. A lot of lightning. I was at my little shop yesterday, and just about the time I was going to leave, I heard a transformer blew up on a corner.
Oh, wow.
All the lights went out. I thought it was my box. So I run around, tried to find out what's going on. I unplugged all my my cords out of the wall and everything. Okay, no fire.
Just
Time
don't
to
send
go.
any. Just don't send any lightning bolts like they had around the White House today. I heard that was it today or yesterday? Somebody was killed by a lightning
4.
bolt that struck right around the White House.
Yeah, like 3 people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Wow.
Keep yourself safe. out there.
Anyways, yeah, man, not much going on. Same old. Couple of beaters at the shop. Failing some people, rejecting some stuff.
shall
You know,
not pass.
normal stuff.
Your son's becoming a man tomorrow, officially a man on paper.
Well, actually, it was last Saturday,
Okay.
but we're celebrating it tomorrow due to scheduling conflicts, and
Yeah,
finally 18.
18 years old.
Wow.
You wouldn't believe how fast it goes, man. It's like I remember it was like it was yesterday when he was born, about this itty bitty, you know.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if you ever. I mean, I assume most of you are fathers, right? And if you were able to see your son being born, that is something that I will remember for the rest of my life, or at least as long as I can remember stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like it was yesterday, and coming out of the hospital and everything, it was something that, like I said, I will never forget those first little days, that his first cry and everything in the hospital. And now he's 18, ready to go into the military, planning to go into the Air Force or something like that. He don't want to be a grunt. He want to be up above, and I don't blame him. So yeah. I'm really happy, and at the same time, it's kind of I don't know what's the word to explain how I feel right now.
Honored,
you know?
proud.
Yeah, honored, proud. You know, also concerned. You know, when I was young, I would think, okay, I'll go to the military and I'll go to war and I'll do all these things. Now, he is wanting to go and I don't want him to, you know, so.
Well, let me tell you this. The world has not changed. Only the technology has. And, when I was a military age, we had the bombings in Beirut. We had a lot of terrible things. Everybody was threatening nuclear war. Reagan, was pushing a lot of that back to fight the Cold War, and it's just the world, and we just have to go out there and have our faith in God, and that our sons and daughters will learn through experience and hopefully make the right decision as they're doing that. But the good news for you, because you've got a wonderful son, and the only thing is that Erick still sends me notes that, man, he ate all my chocolate-covered donut holes at the restaurant. He was really a little upset about that. You may want to gift Erick some chocolate donut holes sometime. But anyway, or fudge covered. But anyway, the interesting thing is that you're going to get to spend more time in the shop because son won't be at home. He'll be out in the world, and your wife won't want you there. And then number 2, in about 7 to 10 years, you're going to know the wonderful feeling of being a grandfather. You think being a father is fun? Wait till you get you'll be disowning your son right away, other than the fact that he had those kids for you.
And
you'll love him. You'll be a second-class citizen, I should say.
The funny thing about it is, as I never saw myself as a father, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never really wanted to have a family per se, but life happens, and then when it happens quick. So you have to be ready for that. And for me, at the time, I wasn't. And it just caught me by surprise. And here I am, 18 years later, a grown son, ready to go.
He's a respectable man. I enjoyed meeting him.
Yeah,
wonderful young man.
Yeah, we tried. My wife and I, we tried real hard to keep him away from all the little problems going on outside right now. Kids are growing up too fast.
Yeah. As we get older, we find out that, you develop that old man, get out of my yard, feelings. We all grow old and we go, oh, the world has changed so much. And realize that when we were at that point in our lives, the world was changing a lot for the people that were around us then. So he will adapt and do well. Everyone's done it since the beginning of time. You're just good that you gave that kid a great upbringing, and he's going to be a respectable young man going out into the world.
Yep. That's the
congratulations.
that's the
Congratulations on a job well done.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a son that's both have graduated college. Both have one's got in a professional career, and the other one's going through dental school right now, and they've exceeded what I did in my life, and I'm honored that I had a strong wife and somebody that pushed them along, that gave them the skills that they have, and they also adopted mine as well, but. You're getting ready to experience some of the best years of your life because you're going to watch them become a man.
I think that's the dream from every parent, have their children do better than they did. I mean,
Right.
He is the first, for me, he is a first generation American born, right? So he's the first gen of my bloodline coming to America. So, and me, I don't count because I'm a transplant, but he is a first gen. So, it's a pretty good feeling, man. It's a pretty good feeling.
The only thing I can say that's bad about that whole thing is the fact that he'll never know the experience of running naked through the forest with a jaguar in Brazil.
I don't want him to. Did enough for the both of us.
Well, Matthew, Rich, you're on the other side of that spectrum. You've got kids that are developing into adults, and you've got one that's developing into a new little human. How's things going? How's mom doing, and how's knife making going?
Oh, knife making's gone very slow.
We hit those spots.
Yeah, and we're enjoying the summer weather. We're going out to the pools on the weekends and doing the playgrounds during the week. So, I think I'm really gonna adopt this idea that, like the summertime's gonna be like my slow down kind of like research, maybe get some new designs, and then really crank it during the fall and the winter. Springtime start, getting up ready for the the shows and stuff, and then slow down during the summertime, and so that's pretty much I think like the direction that I'm gonna go. Other than that, the kid life, oh man, they keep me busy. They run me ragged.
I saw you coloring with them this week.
Oh yeah. I take their toys and I use
crayons.
them. I eat their crayons. I show them everything that they shouldn't do to help them be better people.
You draw knives. I'm going to draw some
knives.
knives on your Etch-a-Sketch.
Oh yeah, my daughter, she's like,
was
cut them
pretty
out
cool.
for me, Daddy. And she grabs it and she puts a bow on it and she's walking around. I'm like, oh, that's cute.
And when the third grade teacher says, your daughter does nothing but draw knives, and I'm very concerned, you can, it's just a thing. It's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, she's gonna move up in my company real quick, So, so yeah, so totally on the other end of the spectrum from Otis here. But yeah, like 18 years. I mean, that still goes. Like my daughter's 4 years old, and it just seemed like a blink of an eye. She was just a baby, And to touch back to when watching your child being born, you can kind of go both ways on that. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful watching your child being born, but then on the other hand, depending on what you're watching being born, could be a different part of that, but that might be a little too gross for this conversation. But,
Just stand behind the curtain. You're fine.
Right,
Go
just-
back behind the curtain, Matt.
You're doing a good job, baby. Yeah. So other than that, I got some leatherwork projects coming up and getting ready for going on a family reunion out in Orange Beach there in Alabama. So
Now, when are you leaving?
yeah. I think I don't know the dates for sure. I think it's going to be in 2 weeks.
It's not next week. Is it the week after?
I think it's the week after.
I will be in Destin, Florida that week, so I'll be an hour.
Right.
I'll be an hour from you.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
maybe we'll text each other or
We
message
can,
together.
we can text each other or jump on a float and get taken by the winds. But watch the sharks out there, man. The sharks are all over the shore this year, and not just because the news is deciding to do it in the summer. Being from Alabama, I don't know what's moved them in this year more than others, but people are seeing it.
Jellyfish are bad too.
Yeah, a lot of. Did you see a lot of sharks, Joey?
I saw one. Some people were out on a boat and they were pointing to it, hollering shark. And then the only problem we had was with jellyfish. I actually got tagged by one.
Did you have your buddy pee on your
How does
foot?
that feel?
Now my wife was like, "You want me to pee on?" I was like, "No." What's wrong with you?
How does
I had
that
to-
feel?
Huh?
How does that feel?
Not good. I was like, "Man, why is my arm burning?" Like,
Yeah.
That's just like
I
a
looked
burning
down.
sensation, or
yeah. My little girl goes, Daddy, look, a jellyfish. I was like, "Oh, okay." You can see all the tentacles just floating in the water. They look so weird. They look like a pinwheel as they're moving with the waves. It was weird, and so I my arm was burning, and I was like, "Man." So I went and got a bucket, scooped it up, and I brought it on shore, and everybody was like, "Oh, get away! Don't." I
Probably
just
the
dug a
safest
little
place
hole.
for it.
Yeah, I dug a hole in the sand and buried it.
Yeah. Well, it's just good it wasn't Portuguese man of war because they're pretty prevalent down there. Not like jellyfish, but you don't want them to get you. My brother lives at the coast and sister and all that, and he loves to jet ski. And I remember one time we were going down there, and he stopped the jet ski because he tied it up to a floating buoy, and he jumped in. And he said he's a wild man. He's an ex-pro surfer and this, that, and the other. And he said, "Look at that!" And then he jumped in the water, went running for shore, and I was surrounded by all of these softball-sized jellyfish by the thousands. And of course, he didn't care. He just went running through it. But I sat there like a 3-year-old girl trying to figure out what to do. Finally, I jumped off and just ran through and came through with a little stink. And he's like, "You want me to pee on you?" And I'm like, "Nah. You've done enough. You've done enough."
Yeah, they were big. I had never seen jellyfish quite that big. Normally, you see the little small ones.
Yeah.
But these are actually, like you said, softball size.
Yeah.
yeah. I got stung by a caterpillar once. Big, orange, bushy hair. It looked pretty to me. I went to grab the thing. Never did it again. It felt like I grabbed a hot coal.
We've got a caterpillar like that down here in the south.
Had a nice hairdo on it, like
Yeah.
a little mohawk right in the center, little bright orange one.
It says,
Never
"Hey,
did it
touch me."
again.
Yeah, when I worked with the Forest Service, we always told people don't pick up hairy caterpillars, and because they're beautiful and they want to, but they will. A lot of them are. Hey, at least it wasn't that pinto catfish that swam up your yoo-hoo.
Oh yeah.
Talking about those caterpillars, Otis here, I used to have a black lab, and one day we were outside, and I kept hearing her sneeze. You know how dogs sneeze. And so I went up to her, and I was like, what? You know, her name was Sue. I was like, man, what is going on, Sue? And I looked, and one of those little caterpillars was stuck in her nose. I was like, you poor thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. I've got some good news. You guys ready for this?
Yeah, man.
I have to go to Georgia next week, Lake Lanier, for a business conference, and I will be there for 3 days. But on my way home, I'm stopping at Pop's Knife Supplies, and I'm loading up the truck, some 8670 and anything else I can get back there until my wallet runs out, and I can't wait. So we got a special person to speak to here in a minute, but before we get going, you know, Pops supports us through the Maker's Mark segment that we run, so let's see what Pops has to offer.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers. Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back. And as I said, you know, Pop supports us in the Maker Mark series, and this week we are proud and honored to have another great maker out there by the name of Ethan Lee. And before I get started, I thought, how was I going to introduce him today? And when I got to reading his bio, it said that about 11 years old, he went and saw some people doing some forging, and he was totally enamored with the fact that this stuff that was totally solid, and you heat it up, and all of a sudden you had molten Play-Doh. And once his hands healed, he started forging and has been doing it for years and years and years. Don't play with the hot Play-Doh. Ethan Lee, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, so you have been making knives, and not just knives. You do a lot of different metal work, a lot of different things. How long have you been doing this?
So I started blacksmithing when I was like 11 or 12, and it was after I went to Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri, and saw a demonstration. And then when I was about 14, that's when I got into making knives. 14 or 15, I met a knife maker at a banquet one night, and he invited me to a hammer-in, and I didn't even know what a hammer-in was at the time. And so I went to a hammer-in and met knife makers, and I kind of knew a little bit about Damascus and was interested in it. And so I kind of got into really knife making more than blacksmithing at that point. I really don't do a whole lot of ornamental blacksmithing too much anymore. I do sometimes, but yeah, I took about a break for about 4 years when I was in the Navy and didn't make any knives.
Hey, thank you for the service.
Yep. And yeah, and I do. I kind of got my own little machine shop now. I went after high school. I went to school for machine tool technology, and then I didn't really work in the field. I actually ended up joining the Navy, and then after the Navy, fast forward to Louisiana, and I started buying machines and started machining stuff again. So I have a lot of fun with that.
Did you spend time on a ship?
I was on a submarine.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
USS Maine.
Claustrophobic, man. I could never do that. Kudos to you.
They didn't have you in the they didn't have you in the machine shop, did they?
Well, we didn't have one.
Oh, okay.
No, we had one lathe that I was like one of the only people that ever used, and it was one time, so but yeah.
So I have a brother-in-law that was on subs his entire career. He finished as a master chief, I believe. Mm-hmm. I believe that, and retired a few years ago. I'll have to ask him what sub he was on. So, but that's really cool. So, You're in Gonzales, Louisiana. Where is that?
So it's about 30 minutes southeast of Baton Rouge, and about an hour northwest of New Orleans.
So how far are you, Joey, from Ethan?
I'm probably about an hour and a half from Church Point.
Oh.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It appears that we've made a knife connection. We'll be back in 2 and 2.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code Templars10 for 10% off your next order.
All right. So if you are out there and you're looking for some great grinding belts, you've got to get our boys over at Phoenix. And Chris, don't they have a Knives Templar 10 for a discount if they order through Phoenix?
They do. It's Templars 10.
Templars 10.
Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about Phoenix. So over the last couple of months, Sean Ryan over at Phoenix, he messages me periodically on Facebook Messenger, and I guess he noticed that I hadn't ordered anything in a while, right? And I'm not ordering a ton of belts, but he noticed I hadn't ordered anything, and so he's like, "Hey, notice you haven't ordered anything. Everything going okay?" And so I mentioned to him, "Well, I'm kind of slowing down, kind of like Matt was talking about during the summer, spending some time with the kids. I've got one that'll be 18 here in 6 weeks, and so I just want to spend some time with him, and I haven't done anything." He's like, "Cool." He's like, "I'll check on you in about a month." Sure enough, about a month goes by. He checks on me again. He's like, "Hey, just checking in." And then I did place an order this week, and same day or first thing the next morning, I get a note from him and say, "Hey, thanks for your order. I got it. It's being shipped out today." I mean, that's the type of customer service that I never got when I ordered my belts from other, large manufacturers, abrasives companies, some that have great marketing departments and don't spend anything on customer service. And you place an order and 2.5 weeks go by and they still haven't shipped it. That doesn't happen with Phoenix.
Man, that's wonderful. I tell you what, and I can understand why you brought him to the podcast. That was your deal that you did, and they've got some great products. But I tell you what, I was saying I made a knife connection before we went to break right there, and you guys are close to each other in Louisiana. Ethan, are you going to the Louisiana Knife Show?
Yes, absolutely. I've actually been, me and one other guy, Stephen Prather, we've done pretty much most of the planning for this show. The Louisiana Knife Show was started by another maker here in Louisiana, who's Jason Tippy, and he kind of wanted to start a show. And so the first year there was he got I don't remember, there was 10 to 12 tables or so, and it was in the back of a gun shop. Next year it doubled in size and had around 22, 23 tables. And then it kind of, the planning of it got to be a lot for him, and so he approached the Louisiana Knife Association, Louisiana Custom Knife Association with it. And so we took it over and everything, and so now we're gonna have 53 tables. We have a sold out venue, and it's on September 10th in Lafayette at a place called Le Bene Grand, and it is, I can't wait to go to it. It's we've really done a lot more advertising this year than we've done before. We've sunk a lot of time and a decent bit of money into it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a great show. Got several award categories that are going to be part of the show as well, and we're trying to do something a little bit different with that. We have a couple award categories that we hadn't really seen before. Like one of them is a best bang for the buck category. So that's an award we never really seen at any other show. So whoever's knife is the best knife for the price, that's going to be an award category. Another one's a best stock removal category, because a lot of our guys don't forge, so we want to give them a chance to have a special award. So I'm really excited about it.
So is this something that you're on the committee, or are you leading this? I apologize for not realizing that, but
well, when the Louisiana Custom Knife Show or Knife Association was started, Stephen Prather started it, and he kind of became self-appointed president, and I became self-appointed vice president. But now we just got a few guys, got a little board together, and we're going to be starting to divvy up different responsibilities and stuff. But it's kind of started out as just me and him, and yeah.
Well, excellent. I heard you said something about you sunk a lot of something into something, and all I could think out is that a guy that worked on a submarine, you really take a lot of pride in that word sunk, because I could see when you said it, you really emphasized we sunk.
Sunk is what happens to a submarine with no propulsion, and we call that
no.
a
We
mud
don't
dart.
A mud dart. Oh.
A mud dart, yep.
Don't be a mud dart. That sounds like a good T-shirt. And Odysseer, do not run down there and sell one of your beautiful knives for $1 so that you can get the best bang for your buck award, because they will cry shenanigans, and your accent, you sound like you're a Washington socialite that imported from Brazil. So, you've lost part of that Brazilian accent. So they don't take kindly to those kind of accents down south.
Yeah, man, everybody messing with my accent, man. I don't know.
You sound like you're from Washington now. You sound like you're from Washington. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, Ethan, are there going to be any Damascus pizza cutters as part of the...
Yeah, man, talking about that. I saw that on your Instagram. Awesome.
That's got the leather handle too, right?
It's the stacked handle, like that, yeah.
I actually have another pizza cutter I'm working on, but it's a mono steel. It's a stainless, like, two-handed one. I'm probably not gonna have one made by then. So you have a. Yeah,
I sold mine. Like I sold my Damasteel knife. So I don't know. I'm gonna try to come up with something.
Yeah, I don't know what knives I'll even have to enter in the categories, to be completely honest. I probably ought to start making some stuff for this show, shouldn't I?
How did you come up with that pattern for that pizza cutter, where it looks like a starburst or whatever you call that pattern? Because it looks like a star with the little center and for the wheel there.
So what I did for that is, it's actually, imagine a ladder pattern, but imagine doing a ladder pattern with a ball-nosed end mill. And so on my CNC mill, I milled outward from the center in like 4 corners, and then I did it halfway in the other 4 that are counter to that, and that's how I did it. And then basically hammered it back flat, and
brought it to the surface.
That's how I did it. It was something I hadn't really seen that before, so I wanted to try it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Question: are you going to have any? How big is the venue?
I can't remember the actual square feet of it.
3,000.
It used
like
to
a
be
gymnasium,
a church.
or
it used to be a church, but they've kind of converted it a lot. They have a lot of weddings there and other stuff, and there's another room they're working on remodeling, which is why we kind of picked the location in case we end up. Well, I think we'll likely get bigger. That way we can expand and stay at the same location for hopefully a couple of years.
Are you having any celebrity there this year?
I mean, depends on what you define as a celebrity, but no, I mean, I not really, not that I can think of.
Erick's a celebrity, just so you know.
In the knife world, I'd say J.W. Randall's going to be there. That's
well. What about
his work?
Any live music?
Easterling.
Any live music?
No, we're not. I mean, honestly, the room is going to be pretty full as it is. We're not going to have any live music. We do have a guy that I know that's going to be making barbecue for lunch.
Right.
That's nice.
Yeah. Pulled pork, red sauce. Y'all use red sauce down there in Louisiana?
Knowing him, he's got his own sauce. He has his own rub that he actually sells that is one of the best rubs, honestly, that I've used. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. Like, it really is good.
Yeah. Well, let me say this, because have you heard of the band Alabama Shakes?
I have not.
Anybody here heard the band Alabama Shakes?
No.
Nope.
Guys, this is a popular band. They play up in Nashville and everywhere. Well, anyway, I've got a band called Alabama Shanks, and I'm willing to come down and play for free. I just need to get Joey or somebody to play a little Zydeco, a little scratch board for me, but I'll be happy to come down there and play for free. And beers.
I'll say this though, 53 tables is pretty good. I mean, that's a good amount of people, displaying and showing there. 53 tables for a smaller venue, like it's not bad.
We're really looking forward to it. We've kind of tried to keep the table price as cheap as we possibly can. $75 for a table. Oh,
that's awesome.
Well, Terry Dunn will be there with TNT Stabilizing. Chris's friend Sarah, she'll be there as well, selling her handle material. Texas Knife Steel will be there. They're a relatively new company. They'll be selling steel. J.W. Randall, Mastersmith, Stanley Busick makes great folders. So we've really got quite a group of guys, and we've had some people that didn't want to come to the show because it was a one-day show. We had several responses for that, but in me personally, a one-day show is appealing to me because it seems like the second day or Sunday is always a little slower, and so we may consider doing the second day in the future. I don't know. It's not really anything we're thinking about in the near future, though.
Yeah.
One
So is it
good
true
for
that
a show that size? It's great for a show that size.
As it grows,
multiple days for big ones, it is.
Yeah, I know that the one that Jake Sewell does in Conroe at Southern Star Brewery in November, that one was a one-day show, but being in November, and he would take it from, I don't know, I think they opened at say 10 a.m. or something, and they would go all the way to 8 o'clock at night. He'd have to bring in lights and all of that. And honestly, once the sun kind of went down, the traffic was good, but not coming to the booth to buy anything, right? Because it's at a brewery. So at that point, people are watching music and, watching the live music and drinking. But this
is
year,
that where Napkin Guy was? Napkin Guy?
Yeah, Napkin Guy, the guy that drew on the back of the napkin for me. And it's also where the guy that wanted the anus knife. But he's moved that one to a 2-day show now. And a lot of these shows, when they go to 2 days, they've got a requirement where you have to be there the full amount for the second day. So he's gone to a 2-day, but now he's going to wrap up at 5. So he's able to take the money that he was investing in the lights and the generators and the electrical and all that and put it into more stuff. So that one's in November. I think it's the weekend before Thanksgiving. That one should be fun too. I'll be at that one as well.
Well, I tell you what, if you're talking about making a good investment, and that's whether you're heat treating or you are molding that Play-Doh hot steel, you need to get a good Majestic Forge, and they will provide you a product that does a wonderful job.
Majestic Forge is owned and operated by Brian and Kayla Horn in Rushville, Ohio. With many years of experience manufacturing 2 to 5 burner gas forges, Majestic Forge is your #1 source for blacksmith forges, farrier forges, and specialty forges. They are dedicated to creating top-of-the-line forges at a price you can afford. Majestic Forge has supplied forges to blacksmith schools, high schools, colleges, production shops, and TV shows such as Mythbusters. And Majestic Forge is the forge of choice for televisions forged in fire. Knife makers are in luck as they offer forges that come with 2 or 3 deluxe burners. Here at Knives Templars, we are sure that you can find a USA-made Majestic Forge to suit your needs. Check out your next forge at majesticforge.com.
I'm actually planning on maybe leaving about 3 o'clock that morning, driving down, spending a few hours, and driving all the way back. The only thing I have to make sure I'm traveling the next 3 weeks, so I've got to make sure I can. Eric, I know you drove all the way across America during Blade Show over the course of a few days, and you survived it. But I've got a few more years on you, so I think I'm going to be able to do it. So I hope to, because I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. But is it true that Joey, Chris, and Sarah threw a hissy fit until you let them all have tables together?
I don't know that. I think that's slightly exaggerated, but
I would like to think it was a hissy fit.
Chip exaggerate?
But no, I mean, since we're a smaller show, we can take some little requests like that, and we're happy to, try and group people together if we can. So, yeah.
So do you
Sarah
guys sit on the right and left side of Sarah, or does Joey sit to the right of you and Sarah passes them to you, and if you don't want them, you send them to Joey?
I don't know. I Sarah and I talked about it. That's most of the handle material that's on my table comes from her. So when somebody comes and they look at the handles that she makes, and then they look at my knives, and it makes logical sense, and hopefully it kind of helps each other with some sales, and then we're pretty good friends, so we feel comfortable watching each other's tables. She's coming by herself, and so a lot of times when she comes to shows, she just has her son with her, and I mean he's only like 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that. He's older.
But that's perfect. She can
12.
say, wear your play clothes and act like you're hungry. Here, put
but
some dirt on
sometimes
your
she
face.
has to leave the table to him. And like one time he did it, and I came up and he was the only one there. He's like, "Yeah, I'm running a sale. Everything's $5."
Sounds like something my son would do. Maybe
Does your mom know about that? and he was like patting his pocket, like, and all the cash goes right here. But no, she's gonna come. She's gonna drive because she's in north of Austin, so it's a pretty decent drive for her. So she's gonna drive in that Friday, stop at my place, me and my buddies, and she'll hop in with us, and we'll head in, and so we'll all ride in together. So it made sense. I went up to Ethan at the show in April and said, "Hey, we'd love to come." I was like, "Would you guys be willing to make an accommodation for us to, have tables next to each other so we can help each other out with sales?" And
he said, "We're running a sale, and the money goes right here in my back pocket." Yeah,
that's right.
$5.
$5 every night. $5. Bang for your buck, right there.
Well, I'm glad you guys are all coming together. I hope I get a chance to shake your hands, and I just hopefully maybe you guys will do a little recording while you're down there, either on your phones or whatever. You can take a microphone with you and do some recording and do some. Not necessarily. You can do show interviews or just you guys bantering with each other, and we can play it back on the next show. That is, if the two of you are still talking, because I know that.
Yeah, I had planned
you will be competitors.
I had planned on doing that with Cowboy at his show in April, and we were going to do it on Sunday. Once everything kind of slowed down, and then he disappeared for a while, and I'm like, where did he go? And he came back, and his hand was all bandaged up, and he was doing a live demonstration with somebody, and he was holding the steel, and they were swinging a big sledge and doing a hot cut, and a piece came flying off at about 2,000 degrees and landed right on the back of his hand. And so yeah, he was like, I had to go get patched up. I'm like, oh, no worries, we'll do it another time. I
had a friend who this 2 weeks ago had on Crocs and stepped down into a coal pit, and the Croc melted around his foot. I couldn't imagine 2,000 degrees, but good gosh, I've sworn off Crocs after that, but this has been a while, so I assume he's doing just fine now.
Forgive
your
me
friend,
if I laugh,
Chris.
but I have a dark sense of humor. I can imagine him going like whoop, 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 whoop with his foot on fire.
The only person I know that ever wore Crocs and got burned was my buddy Walt, who was also in the Navy. So I don't know, maybe if that helps with this story at all. But he was wearing Mickey Mouse Crocs and was out hiking and doing a whole bunch of stuff and got sunburned Mickey Mouse patterns all over his feet. So that was kind of fun.
That's kind of cool,
Nice.
though. I'd go for that.
One time when I was younger, I was making a railroad spike knife, and I made a pineapple twist in it. And I picked it up when it was, I thought, okay, it has to be cool now. I picked it up, and it was still hot enough. I had nice diamonds burned into the palm of my hand.
Oh, man.
Well, let me ask you this, Ethan, because I've watched some of your videos, and I've noticed that you were saying something about your neighborhood and your business or whatever. I don't know if it was around. You said that you when you moved in, you made sure that you'd be able to run your business out of there. How did that work?
Oh, that's a really long story, but So essentially, when I moved down here to Louisiana,
You've got 103 minutes and or 63 minutes and 40 seconds. Go.
Okay. Well, so when I moved down to Louisiana, I just happened to kind of find a perfect place. It used to be an auto body business, so I actually have 2 shop buildings. But when I moved in, I dealt with some neighbors up in Washington that were just kind of nosy, and they asking me, "Are you running a business out of this place?" And I was like, "No, it's just a hobby shop on the weekend, you know." But if I was, I wouldn't have told them. So when I moved in here, I made sure through the parish that it was okay to run a business here. And there is zoning laws in Ascension Parish, but there's exemptions for home-based occupations. So doing a little research and talking to them, I found out, okay, yes, there's certain stipulations, can't have more than 2 employees, and I'm within all of them. And it was never a problem until I just recently applied to get my federal firearms license, FFL, and then come to find out you cannot do resale. You can make your own stuff, and it says it in there, but you cannot do resale. So the parish denied the ATF, told the ATF, no, you can't issue him a license because it is it's technically against the zoning laws. And so I ended up talking to some people. I knew some people, and I got through, and they kind of made a little exception for me. So everything's going to be good to go now. But yeah, that's kind of the story on that. That's a short version.
And you know what I would do? I would put a big neon sign out at the end of your driveway now, advertising that for all the neighbors to drive by. That.
Well, then my neighbors here, I don't really have a problem with. I've never had a problem with these neighbors.
Oh, more of a municipality type thing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, people that in their positions that feel they're way more important than they actually are. So.
Yeah, that sometimes happens in life. Karen and Ken's, I guess they call them.
Yeah.
So. So you were on season 6, Forged in Fire, and like I said, I saw a grin on your face. That was one of the interesting things. I'm gonna let you talk about the experience. No, it's been a little while, but you've got that designation as a champion, and more so than it'll cut and hold an edge and all those other great things it did. They said something about your sword that you don't always hear somebody comment on as deeply as they did, and just how well balanced it was and how well it felt. In addition to talking about that experience, what put that balance in there? Because I've also seen Ethan Lee talk about balance of a knife is very important. Picture of you balancing a knife on your index finger, and I was wondering if that went into the sword as you were doing it.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, balance is really important to me because if you go around to a lot of knife shows, and if you just look at most of the knives out there, and then you try and figure out the balance, like I'd say 70 to 80% of them are, in my opinion, most of the time way too heavy. And now there is a lot of personal preference that goes into that. Now some people like a beefy knife. I mean, if people didn't, then Tops Knives wouldn't be in business. But so yeah, balance is really important to me. And the thing is when you look, I've only really technically made 2 swords. I'm getting ready to make another one actually really soon. But when you look at the historical swords in museums, like the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City is a great place to look at them. When you really look at them, it's quite remarkable how thin they actually are. They're very thin, very symmetrical. I mean, it blows my mind what those guys could do back then over candlelight and hand tools, But balance is important to me, and because a sword is a weapon that you carry into battle. And in the beginning in Forged in Fire, they had a lot of guys overbuilding their swords and their weapons because of the tests that they saw them go up against. And that's why Forged in Fire later on started saying it's not about what your swords do to this, it's about what it does to your sword. And so they kind of have been trying to get away from that and they've been trying to tell people here, don't overbuild your weapons, and they give a lot of times they give kind of a baseline, a weight suggestion, and so in order to get that weight suggestion, your sword has to be a certain thickness and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I heard, I'm trying to remember the guy that does the endurance with the chopping on the wood, and then he was chopping on the cattle skull. His name is Sonic Blade Show. Yeah. He commented that with all of that heavy duty chopping and slashing of that skull and that I think it was a piece of pine. About just how well balanced and how it felt good in his hand every time he took a whack. He wasn't taking the vibrations and the impact on his hand that he referenced that he has in other swords and such. So it was really a neat compliment that I keyed on more so than in the other abilities that it was sharp and it really ripped into, or not ripped, it sliced through that cowhide. Just beautifully. It was like most of us guys going through trying to go through tissue paper, and that was just amazing. He kept doing a uniform cut, just following his line, boom, 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 and it just peeled that right open. So how was your experience on that show?
It was really
What do you
great.
think about it today versus when you did it?
Well, it was really great. I've actually been on twice. I was on recently in season 8 on the military redeployment series also. But I mean, it was a good experience. I will say the first episode I filmed was a lot more. The second time I went is when all the COVID stuff was happening. So the first time there was a lot more camaraderie between the group of us. And then there was plenty the second time too, but it kind of happened after at the hotel room, not so much there at the show when we were filming as much, because there's a lot of downtime when you're filming and stuff. And but it was a great experience, really. I mean, I was happy to go back and do it again because it really is a lot of fun. And to me, the best part is meeting the other smiths that you kind of get to know and become friends with. So,
yeah, that's the neat thing about this show, meeting all of these great folks. But even attending shows like the Louisiana Knife Show or Blade Show, you get to meet so many people. And you sit in awe of people, and some people you want to aspire to, and some people you feel you're a little better than them. But everybody's as humble as can be because we all realize it's a journey. It's not a contest. It's just something that we do that we love. So I can imagine being selected for that. Why did they select you though? I mean, what do you think it was about you that they selected you the first time?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. That I applied back in like season 2, and then I was actually filmed for season 5. My episode just didn't come out till season 6, and I think I missed the application the 3rd season, and then the 4th season I applied, never got anywhere, and then season 5 they actually contacted me, and they said, "Hey, we were wondering whenever you turn 18, we'd love to have you on the show." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like 23. And so they're like, "Oh, okay, well, let's get this going." So we did the Skype interview, did everything. Then I didn't hear nothing. And I was like, this time I'm like, I really want to get on this show, and I'm just not going to give up. So I don't remember how I ended up getting it, but I talked to somebody, and they gave me the email for the executive producer of the show. And so I emailed the guy, and I'm like, "Hey, are they ever going to, they ever going to process my application? Am I on the show or not?" And he responded saying, "I commend your efforts to getting in contact with me, and I'll see where it's at." And so ultimately, I think that's why I ended up getting on the show the first time.
Who was the guy you competed with in the finals at season 6?
His name was Michael Sarand.
I don't think he was real happy you got selected.
He was a good sport about it. I think.
Well, he can't. If you're not first, you're last.
Well, I mean. But something really, really interesting you were talking about balance is that his sword was actually only 3 or 4 ounces heavier than mine was, but the balance point was about 3 inches farther forward, which made the weight of mine feel a lot different.
No, I could see the two of you were really kind of rooting for each other in a sense while rooting for yourself. It was very good. You could see the chemistry between you guys as friends as well. But, I think the difference between you and him is that you just rode in the Nova with the Panther.
Well, at the time they told us it was one of the closest competitions they'd actually had. So,
yeah, you could see it. It was good. It was good. What do you think is the number one skill set? Is it? Of course, it's making a blade, but what would you say is the thing that benefited you most being on that show as far as taking in to compete?
The skill set I brought in, or what do you?
Yeah, what you brought in. I mean, that made it successful for you. We know it's got to be. Hey, I can make a great blade. I know I'm going to have to make a sword. What was it that put you ahead of everybody else beyond that?
I did a lot of practicing before I ever went on the show. And if anybody ever goes on the show, I think that's a very, very important thing to do, because you really get to know, okay, how much time what time point do I know I need to do this by? And I did several practice rounds. I actually had a friend of mine come in and give me like surprise challenges, just like the show. I did it probably a half a dozen times. And that helped out a lot.
So time management. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joy.
I was just gonna say, so you going on the show, you need to know how to move metal under a hammer.
Yeah, and I do not do very much hand forging at all. Personally,
you have a power hammer.
I do as much as I can on the power hammer, and about all I do with a hammer and an anvil is just straighten the blade. I don't get a ton of joy out of forging bevels anymore. I don't really do a ton of close forging to shape. I know that's kind of a thing a lot of people do. It's just not something I do. I just forge out a nice flat piece and I grind more. That's just how I prefer to do it. So I do almost all of my shape forging and everything on a power hammer.
Yeah, didn't you just recently get a was it a Little Giant?
Oh, the big one.
I saw you posted it on the LCKA page.
Yeah, I need to finish putting that thing back together and painting it. It's a 250-pound Mirko is the brand, which was made by Mayer Brothers. It's a 250-pound power hammer, and it's in amazing shape. And I actually bought it. The guy could have legitimately got more for it for scrap metal than he sold it to me for.
Wow, so you got a deal on it.
Got a pretty good deal.
I know with your tax man, you probably want to look at the life of that asset, and the payback on it. And if Joey's willing to lease some hammer time, you can set your price and he can come down there and hammer.
I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it. I definitely want to keep it. I mean, I could probably sell it, but the thing is, if I sell it, I know I will probably never get the chance to own one again. Because I was looking on just for what I could sell it for online, and there are very few of them things out there. It seems like, at least. They're around, but it's really hard to find what a price point is on these things.
Yeah, when you get something like that.
What year is it?
I don't know the exact year because I don't think anybody has any information on it, but it's a newer model because this one, I actually have the original electric motor with it. It came on a side bracket with an electric motor.
Wow.
I think it's in mid 50s.
Yeah, I would say, it looks somewhere around that era.
Eric, were you going to get a press or were you going to get a hammer for your shop? Or do you already have one?
I'll be doing a press. I'm not trying to put my neighbors through the power hammer action right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be doing a press. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to make it or whether I'm going to purchase it. I've got a good friend, Chad Kennedy, that lives close to me, who has made a few presses and all that. Mm-hmm. He's got a amazing metal fabrication shop. He's actually one of the Forged and Fire champions. But
I was fixing to say that name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the one where they actually had 2 episodes dedicated to it. But yeah, he's made his, and I'm probably going to go with something close to his plans and have him kind of help guide me the right direction with it, so that I'm not just winging it or trying to figure it all off of Google and YouTube. You know.
Yeah.
So
I was interested in. Oh, sorry.
I was saying, if you do that, you'll be doing something on Shop Talk Tuesday for that particular
Yes.
build,
Yeah, I'll have a whole series.
and they can find that on the Rivers Experience. Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? You know, many go to the books and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, you know, we are fortunate enough to have Erick Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor, and I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel, and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube, or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show. So yeah, go check out Erick on the Rivers Experience. Also check out his Facebook group. All of the folks here are members of that group. And as we were saying before, it's nice to have the camaraderie and the friendships to develop amongst knife makers. And you can certainly find it on the Rivers Experience. So Joey, you were going to ask a question about his press he was going to build.
No, I was actually going to say, I don't know if any of you ever heard of Clay Spencer. He makes fire hammers. I was actually considering going to take one of his classes. You actually go, they get all the parts, you pay a tuition, and you actually go and build it yourself. You know, there's people there.
Those are them group builds, right? Like there's like
Yeah.
30 people there, and you're building like 30 power hammers. You got like 5 guys doing welding and 5 guys doing sanding. And hey, I watched one of those videos. It looked
Yeah,
like
and then
very.
you bring your
very good.
trailer and load it up when you're
take it home.
done. Yeah, and take it home. I was actually considered doing that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Do you think you got a group down in Louisiana that does that? Something
That's
along
where
those
he's.
lines?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
I'm
from-
sorry. Okay.
It's in Louisiana, and I think it's Roberts, Louisiana, over there by Hammond, Covington, somewhere right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and it's actually if you're pretty mechanically inclined, welding, fitting, fabricating, doing stuff like that, it'd be an interesting little thing to do. Get a buddy or so, that another knife buddy that's maybe looking into wanting to build a power hammer too, and pair up and go.
Cool.
Right.
That's a great way to obtain and to having working knowledge. I see that in you, Ethan. Certainly with your background, have a working knowledge, and you can see those things mechanically and how they come together. And it's important from preventive maintenance and also repairs in the future. Understanding your equipment is very key. Mm-hmm. So an opportunity to build it like that is just cool. And I commend Erick and all the guys here. Matthew Rich turned his grinder into a horizontal grinder, and it's amazing how we get creative and just do it our way and get her done. Hey, I'm going to switch topics here a little bit. How many of you guys are hunters? Anybody here go hunting? You spending? Anybody here? Are you starting to think about fall?
Yeah, I actually have a teal hunt planned September 18th. So.
Cool. Yeah. So in a couple weeks, we've got. I'm in the process of making a club board for our club that I've joined this year with a bunch of friends. It's in Pine Level, Alabama, which is down close to the Mississippi border and southwest side of the state. And we are going to be going down there in a couple weeks. We've had some trees come across some of the roads, and we've got to get all that cleaned up so the guy can get in and get our green fields planted and build a couple new shooting houses. And I am getting super excited because this is going to be my first year in a club. So I'm hoping I get 9-year-old beginner's luck. So what have you guys been getting into? Notice you're smiling.
Yeah, I'm just happy. I would say in about a month from now, Maryland seasons opens up for archery.
Yeah.
And I will probably be slaying some does in the beginning. Don't care much about the wrecks. My main
Certainly
focus
not on does.
is filling the freezer. And Maryland has instituted a limitless tags for archery on suburban areas, which is 4 counties: Howard, PG, Montgomery, and Anne Arundel counties.
So you're going to be hunting out of the bathroom window, sitting on the junk?
Basically, yes.
Otis here's going to be on the light pole in the parking lot.
There you go.
Arrow.
Getting high enough.
Good fill
We're in
this
there
city.
right through it, man. It's one of the
Little
things.
Susie
about
says, "Look,
bow
Mommy,
hunting,
a
man,
deer."
It's an amazing thing. If you've never done it and you're curious about it, I would say go ahead and try it, but be careful because it's addictive. The rush you get just before you release the arrow is like nothing else.
Are you using a compound bow, or do you use crossbows up there? Or?
It depends where I go. Some areas I will use a crossbow. Some areas I will use a compound. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to get a crossbow for both seasons, so I'm gonna be out shopping for that here soon. What about you, Joey? What are you guys getting ready to do?
Hunting wise,
You said the teals, right? So
yeah, and then of course, Area 6 here in Louisiana. Deer season will start. Archery comes first, October 1st. So just getting all the stands, reconditioned. Changing out rotted boards if they have boards. Maybe changing out a few seats. We just use like old computer chairs that people throw away. Put in our stands, and so we just change that out, because they get kind of funky after a little while, a couple of seasons. So out there in the elements, they just, every now and then you have to change them out. But
The weather does its thing.
yeah. So just stuff like that, and bush hogging.
Yeah.
Do some bush hogging on some and road maintenance. Our little makeshift roads we have in the woods and on the property.
Joe, that's cheating.
Nah.
That's cheating, man.
That's like talking about
We gotta
using
have access. How's that cheating? Are we
No,
trying to
it's
get
too
to the?
easy, man. It's too easy. When I go,
No,
I grab
I didn't
my,
say we
I
hunt
grab
them
my
from
climber,
the roads.
I grab
didn't
my
say we sit in the
climber, I
truck.
grab my bow or my crossbow, and I will go way up into the woods, and I will find a nice round tree, and I will climb a good 25 feet off the ground, and I will sit there, and then
Then he hits them with that iPhone flashlight, and when they stop, bam.
There you go.
Yeah, I used to
him with an
archery
iPhone.
hunt, but I don't know. It didn't. That excitement you talked about, that heart racing, that adrenaline rush you get. I don't know. It just didn't happen for me with archery, and I don't know. I guess I just like guns, so I'm a rifle guy. So
I had that buck fever so bad one time when I stood up to draw, and I went into full draw. My right leg was shaking so much I had to pull it out from my stand, and I was standing only on my left leg. Looked like a one-legged man on a tree stand shooting a deer.
This will be my first time
And the
here.
crane kick with a bow.
That's what I was thinking. This will be my first year deer hunting, so I'm getting quite excited by it. I'm excited that Alabama, down where we're at, has a fall turkey season.
You're a late bloomer, Mr. Chip.
It's okay.
So you just getting into hunting?
I am. Like I told you guys, I've caught every fish in the world twice. Every bass, anyway.
I know. I caught one. Caught that one you caught.
Yeah. You could, if you mention my name, they'll look scared. But so my father was a golfer, and I know I've told this story before, and my relatives were all hunters, but I decided that it was on my bucket list, and now it's exciting. But we've got a late fall turkey season down there, so I'm looking forward to that because I enjoyed the heck out of that.
I'm gonna have to hook you up, Chip. I'm gonna gift you something. My wife's uncle makes box turkey calls.
Oh wow!
Handmade box turkey calls.
I'll
so.
get Chris to make you an anus knife for that then.
I'll pass.
No, make something. I'll be happy to pay you for it.
I actually, some of the wood, you know what? I'm a do you a solid. Some of the wood I gave Jason from the Jim Bowie Oak
Yeah.
here in Opelousas.
Oh, wow. Well, I'll send you some Hawaiian koa from the Big Island from mine. I'll send you a block of it. I'm talking about a block of it, not just a little handle material. I'll send you a block of koa from my cousin in Hawaii.
Yeah. Jason, he sent me a piece of the Gonzalez live oak, but
Oh, wow.
whatever knife I make with it's gonna be a pretty small one. So
Yeah. Well, you can always put a window in it like the guy we saw at Blade Show, and you can have just little pieces in each one where they can see in the window and see it rattling around. Eric, are you going on the bareback buffalo hunt that they do up there on the plains of Texas this year?
You know how we like to roll.
I do, man. I do. What do you got planned up your way? Building a
Oh,
building right now, but beyond that.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much have hunting all the time with boar and coyotes and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I've got some stuff coming up, and I've been thinking about getting into archery. My cousin, he's gone down into Mexico. He's gone lots of different places bow hunting. He's teaching his daughter that's like 8 how to do it. They've got setups in their backyard, and I've got a couple of crossbows and stuff that I use in my backyard. That way they're not very loud, and that way I can still do target practice. But I haven't taken them hunting. I just play around back there. But that and,
Yeah, I'm a target blinker myself
air pellet guns
when it comes to
and
the
all
bows.
that. Yeah.
Well, if you run across a good trailer, you said sometimes you get some decent hunting trailers. I want something a little nicer than that, something that's in between piece of crap and brand new. If you run into a good deal on a used trailer that's, let's say, piece of crap's a 1 and a brand new is 10, if you find something on the 3 or 4 scale, send me a picture of it. Maybe I'll drive over and pick it up. Since I'm going to have some business over in Texas this fall, so I may hit you up on that if you get something. So
I will. We
anyway,
sell a lot of those.
And I'm sure they go very quickly, especially as we approach this season. But if you run across something, let me know. Speaking of running something across something, I tell you what, you know what happens when you run a piece of steel across a Marabraid grinder with a nice belt on there? It just eats that stuff away.
Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Erick and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
Yeah, so since I got my Ameribraid, I can't thank Joey for convincing me enough, because I've come to think that it's there's a lot of grinders out there and they all do a great job, bunch of great knives, but I tell you what, just the technical abilities of that particular grinder and the stand and the locking wheels and just how smooth it runs has been a blessing. And I also saw that if you shop at popsknife.supplies, they're carrying Ameribraid products. I saw the rotary platen and some other material out there that they're selling now. They may even be selling a full grinder. No, I saw the surface grinder on their website today. So they may offer more than that, but check out Pops for Ameribraid as well. Great provider. So, hey guys, you want to get into some questions? Question time.
Yeah, bye.
I didn't get too many from our buddies this week, so we got to tell those people out on the Rivers Experience or anybody else listening, send me your knife making questions to knivestemplars@yahoo.com or chip.carlisle, CARLISLE, at gmail.com, and we'll get them on the show. We'll mention your name. But did have a few come through I want to mention. And Don sent us a question before the show today, and his question was, what was our belt progression before we heat treat on a blade? So that's something that I'm just learning as far as using a good quality grinder, so I'm going to have to turn that over to you experts. But I do have my plan, but I have a feeling you've got better advice than I do. Who wants to take that one? Dun, dun, dun.
Mine's
dun,
real
dun,
easy.
dun.
I do mostly chef knives, so I don't grind at all prior to heat treat.
That's what I was about to say. A lot of my knives, I may start at some, but I normally do a lot of the grinding after heat treat.
If I do anything on the bigger knives like my Ridgebacks and stuff, I'll just go 36 grit and get, start it a little bit to get a little bit of removal, and then go heat treat and do everything else. I talked to another maker that one time he said he takes his close to 220 or 400 before heat treat, and I'm like, but are you grinding all the way to your finished edge? And he's like, no. And I was like, so why'd you waste all that time? And belts.
Yeah, I take it to 120 before heat treat.
Yeah, same here, Otis.
Yeah, I will start maybe on a 36, depending on how much material I want to remove and how fast I want to go. Then maybe an 80 to do a little finer finishing there, and then I will hit it with the 120 just before heat treat. And then the rest of it is hand sanding. I do a lot of hand sanding. I actually enjoy it. Kills a lot of
It's
time.
all in the hips. It's all in the hips.
You could watch hundreds of videos that I've done, and I'll tell you right now, it's the same thing in every single one of them. 36 grit, 50 grit, Scotch-Brite, heat treat. I will never, ever, almost ever go up any higher than a 50 grit, primarily because you're going to be grinding or going through decarb or whatever it is afterwards. So it's like, why would you get so fine pre-heat treat when you're going to have to go through that layer anyways by default in order to get back to the good steel, especially if you're going to be acid etching and doing all that stuff. So yeah, it's not worth it to go anything higher.
Well, I guess I can contribute then, because I do have an opinion. So I typically start out at 36 grit and do all my work up through that, and then I will, if it goes with this particular knife, then I'll smooth out the flats on 80 and then 120, and I do all my grinding down to probably about 1.5 millimeters, somewhere around 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters. And I take that up to 120, and then when I'm done, I will go back and clean it up with the 120, and sometimes I'll go to 220, or I'll just go to hand sanding. And I know that I'm having to clean all that decarb off and clean it back up, but I'm kind of like Otis here. I actually enjoy that fine hand, because when you're using your hands, there's just more, pardon the word, you guys can laugh, but it's more intimacy with the blade with me. But I'm working on one blade at a time, and I'm enjoying handling that blade and creating its story, so to speak. And that may sound goofy, but that's just the best way I can describe it. So that's kind of how I do it.
Hand sand some S35VN, in your opinion, might change.
10-inch.
Oh, I don't disagree. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, do about 25 10-inch chef's knives, and then go, man, I love hand sanding.
Or pretty much anything stainless.
Well, and I think if you get to something that's harder, that's difficult, I've had knives that were too hard just to sand, and I took them back to a belt, and then took them up to wherever I took them to. It might have been 400, but that hasn't happened that often. With the Pops 8670, I guess that's why I love it, because it seems
up well.
Yeah, it just does a wonderful job. Versus some other steels, where I felt like I was just sanding all day long. So there's give and take, and I can go back to a belt if I get sick of it.
52-100 cleans up pretty good too.
Does it? What about you, Rich? Did you comment on that?
No. But I was just thinking, like Jason's saying, a lot of it's all problem solving. Like everything you do, like you're chasing one problem to the next. Like if you got like a water mister and you're doing your bevels, like I take up to 400. and go kind of slow and let the mister, for finish, of course, do the work on that. And as far as, what you guys are talking about with the or the sanding, 120, usually about what I stop. I do enough on a piece of bar stock just to get it flat. So, it stops me there about 120, 80 even. After that, stop at 120 and do your heat treat and all that and wrap it up after that. Get you some new clear, throw it on there. Pops has that too. That helps out a lot.
Yeah.
And get it done.
I know Don, who submitted this question. He's a friend of ours. He's making 5-10 knives at a time, so he's probably looking at that time management and how to do it. But I think it really depends on the steel, the knife, and mine and Otis here's passion for hand sanding knives. So
I like it too.
Yeah, it's not. For me, like I said before, right? Knife making is not about putting a ton of knives and making a living out of it, especially right now. For me, more like a therapeutical kind of deal. I just want to zone out. I want to forget the
I'm with you there, buddy.
The people yelling at me in the shop and the people, unhappy that I failed their car because it's rotted out on the floor or something, right? I just need something to keep my head.
You need to become a home inspector.
Yeah, maybe. It might be in the future. You never know. Just take all that noise away from my mind before I get home, and it kind of helps, right? So
yeah,
Take some
we
aggression
always
out on the middle.
Yeah, we had a friend that was a realtor, and she had this term. So you buy a home, you bring in an inspector on behalf of you, not the seller, and they tell you everything you're going to tell the seller that they need to fix. And there's this term in real estate that says, "Don't kill the deal." I think home inspecting may be just as frustrating. Man, here's a good question coming in from a guy by the name of Jamie, and Jamie, this is just going to turn into an argument. Why would you choose micarta, or why would you choose wood, and your reasons for that? And we'll probably talk about stability and this, that, and the other, but some of us use both in a knife. So why micarta? And let's talk about it in terms of, to begin with, guys that generally use a majority of micarta in their knife or a majority of wood versus hybrid. So why micarta over wood? Benefits and minuses, I guess.
Well, I use both, so it's because a lot of them are segmented, so they've got both in them. The micarta gives a different look than the wood. I will say that making chef knives, there are some people that have a preference towards a micarta or something that is man-made and more impervious. There are certain folks that maybe want to use the chef knife in a professional kitchen, and that professional kitchen won't allow a wood handle, even if it is stabilized, because it could pick up, it may, even though something's stabilized doesn't mean that it's not porous, right? We've all gotten the stabilized wood that may have some voids that you got to fill with CA glue or something like that, and bacteria can collect in there. So that's one. It's also some folks that may use their knives if they're for some of the, like the layered G10 that's got the the rubber layers in it. It could be for grip or something like that. I think there's a lot of performance benefits to some of the man-made materials, but wood obviously has the the figure, the chatoyance, the beauty to it, and the grain. So that's kind of why I like to use a combination of stuff.
Yeah, micarta and wood. I stopped using micarta. I stopped using micarta very little. The last piece I had, I just still sitting in there. I don't think I'm gonna use it because it clogs up the belt really quick, and it's a pain to clean it up. And a lot of people like it. Personally, I stopped using it just because of the clogging effect on the belt. But micarta will last. Depending on the kind of steel that you have, micarta will last longer than the knife, right?
Yeah, more
if
than
you
likely.
have a nice piece of micarta there on a high carbon steel, and you happen to drop it on the river somewhere, somebody will find a beautiful handle, 10 years from now, and the knife is, probably gone. Maybe not 10 years, but, in the future, oh, look, I found a handle, right? So micarta is forever instead of, unlike wood, especially untreated wood.
I think one thing there with the belts,
I prefer G10 over micarta, way better. Oof. No, not even a contest.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the belts, one of the things that I started doing was making sure that, one, I'm using fresh belts, and then for all of my handle material, I only use aluminum oxide. I think we talked about it with Jason a few weeks ago, right? Where that ceramic just doesn't work with woods and handle materials. It's just gonna clog up, no matter what you do, because it's meant to be fractured, right, against the hardened steel. So I just buy a bunch of cheap, AO belts, and I was, a lot of times when I was starting, I was using ceramic belts that maybe were more towards end of life, and they would clog really bad, even with woods, especially stuff like bog oak or cocobolo, and it would clog really bad, and then it would burn the material.
Had that happen.
So that may be a Templar's tip.
Yeah, AO belts and fresh ones, and man, at Phoenix you can get those pretty cheap too. A couple dollars a belt.
They have those AO packs, like 75 belts or 50 belts, 25 packs.
Yep. See, I'm listening here. I just learned something. So I went out and bought all these new ceramic belts with my grinder. So
you'll use them. You'll use them for all of your Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying I didn't realize about the AO belts, and I've got those with my trusty 2x42. But I think I'll take your advice and buy some of those AO belts.
Yeah, I think Jason Knight in one of his videos one time, and I've heard other people say it too, but he said, go through belts like you own the company.
Yep.
Right.
Like it's, you're sitting there, especially on a handle, or we were talking about belt progression, and so when we're doing like, say, after heat treat and I'm getting into like a 220 or maybe even a 400 and that's an AO belt, right? Most of the time, I may get one side of a knife with a belt and toss it. And sometimes it's 2 belts for a side, but those are $2 belts, right? Toss them, move on.
I'm very much the same way as that, Chris, because you learn that a worn belt just creates heat, and you don't get the ultimate what you know that when you're working with a brand new clean belt, just how beautiful and easy it is to work with your knife. And once they get worn, you're making a compromise to work with that worn belt over the minuses that come with it. So don't be afraid. That's excellent advice. Throw a worn belt away.
Yeah.
Unless you've got a repurpose for it and something else. Anyway, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's a great comment you made.
One last thing I'm going to say about the G10 thing is, the micarta thing, is that make sure, please, for your own health, wear some kind of a respirator, because that thing not only clogs your belt, it will clog up your lungs as well. So, when I'm grinding, whether it's G10 or wood or whatever, not only have a respirator, I have a fan right next to my head on my left side, blowing all the stuff away from it, and you're gonna catch that smell on you. So protect yourself.
Well,
you don't want those things in your lungs.
You're quite a bit different. You might got micarta. There's a lot of material that's not the thing that you're looking at. With G10, you have layers of G10. With wood, you have wood. With micarta, some of that stuff is like a lot of resin or a lot of extra chemical
vintage,
and material.
Some of that vintage micarta's got some stuff in it that they probably don't even allow anymore. So.
Well, I'll tell you, you were talking about PPE.
The good stuff.
Oh yeah. The PPE. Mr. Keaton with Redbeard Ops, he's got that nice 3M space helmet he wears now. He got rid of his nose pincher and started wearing the 3M space helmet, and it kills me because I'll be down at a safety conference week after next in Destin, Florida, and every year I try to convince the 3M lady to give me that 3M mask he's got as a sample on the table, and for 7 or 8 years, I still get a no, and it's just a giggle. So they're expensive. They're extremely expensive, but I do have a Papper unit that's got Tyvek hood on it, and I could hook it up to one of those 3M suits, or 3M helmets like Keaton's got, but I just haven't spent the money. I've got I use a 3M 600 series mask with Papper filters, and working in safety industrial hygiene, it does more than the job that I need it to do.
Yeah.
So, but the Papper
I've got one of
very
those.
nice.
I've got one of those power caps from Peak Safety.
How do you like that?
I love it. You got to change out the filters, but it's all modular. Like if you crack the face shield, you can order another face shield. I mean, it's an investment. I think it's like $600, but for me, it's I kind of have a rule. Like if my grinder's going, I've got that thing on. Probably the only time where I don't have it on is if I've got like a Scotch-Brite belt running slow, and I'm just kind of touching up a little belt finish or something after I've glued on a handle and just kind of need to clean it up, or if I'm using like the leather strop. But it's one of those I can sit there and grind my Cardo wood G10 metal, whatever, and then you come in, you take that helmet off, you blow your nose, and hey, it's all clear, right?
Oh, yeah. You're not tasting it in the shower off your beard.
We've all had that, where we like come in and we're like, oh my God, I didn't think I did much.
Well, I've got another Templars tip based on what we're talking about today. About every 3 weeks, go out and lower your garage door and look at it from the outside and spray it down with the water hose, because you need to get all that wood dust off of it. That's why it's not the same color as the other two.
Or just get AC in your shop and keep your door closed all the time.
Yes. I in Alabama, I got to open the door. I'll just die in there. It's so hot. So, for me, I started this whole thing very natural knives, and of course, Chris has shamed me into, coming into the newer age, and I'm loving some of these materials. And I say that as a compliment, Chris. But I still love the look of wood. The wood in my house that I use, I love solid wood furniture. I love old solid wood furniture, and I love the test of time if you take care of it. So while I'll use some paper micarta in my liners, I just love the look of wood, and it just takes me back in time. So I stick with that, but I do have some canvas micarta, and I've got some G10, and I'm gonna play with it here in the near future, near future, making some knives. So who knows what I'll be addicted to, because I said I'd never get anything but a cold forge. So there you go.
On that canvas micarta, fresh belt, go slow.
Thank you.
You will burn canvas micarta faster than you can, burn some of the other paper micarta too. But any of those micartas, go slow. Otherwise, you'll burn it, and then you're just chasing that and trying to get rid of that.
Yeah. We haven't run an episode for the Butt Pucker Syndrome Foundation this particular episode, but I will tell you, I thought I was coming down with BPS, and when I got the new variable speed drive with my grinder, I realized that all the symptoms went away. So there is a magic pill for that illness, and I'm surprised.
$3,500.
Yeah.
Get that VFD.
Yeah, and I remember early on you were working with that beautiful Damascus knife that you sold to a relative, the one with the green handle. And you had said that you didn't care how long it took to grind it. You were just going to crank it down and just take your time on it. So, there's a lot to be said for being able to do that. Ethan, what's your favorite handle material? A little bit of everything? Are you more natural or what?
If I'm making, me personally, I like more natural materials. I like kind of some of the dyed and stabilized woods. But I kind of acquired a very large amount of natural canvas micarta. If anybody needs any, let me know. I sell it. They call me the micarta king of the South. I got a couple trailer loads of it, literally. But I also, when it comes to G10, I like G10 machines really, really nicely. Micarta machine's good. G10, you can get an amazing finish off of the mill with it. It's great.
Yeah. Do you know Jason Fry?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do y'all speak?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Because I think that he can trade you a little bit of the Alamo for some of the submarine steel. Because he loves to make these historical pieces, and I know I jumped off of my card in that, but tell us about the submarine steel that you're using to make knives with.
Well, so the submarine steel is, honestly, I think I haven't really told anybody this yet, but I think I'm only going to make one more project out of it. I'm going to make this, it's a naval cutlass for somebody I used to be in the Navy with. He was an instructor of mine. But what it is the boat I was on, the USS Maine, we pulled into the shipyard for a big overhaul period. They refueled the reactor and just a ton of work that they did to it. They just overhauled the whole thing practically. And what they did is they took they made these hole cuts, and they had to make multiple of them, several pretty good size. And imagine like it's a fixture that clamps on to the hole of the boat, and imagine like a single tip point, like a lathe bit, and it's just coming around and making one cut, and then there's a guy sitting there just adjusting it in like a quarter turn every time till the whole thing gets cut through. And so my captain on the boat, he told the shipyard workers to keep the shavings and put them in buckets and then bring them to him. And so what he did is the last year he was our captain, at our Christmas party, he gave every single crew member a vial of whole shavings of the USS Maine suspended in the aft external hydraulic fluid that was also on the boat. And then he had a bunch of leftover shavings, and I said, well, and he said, hey, you can have them. And so I made a few knives out of them. I just mixed them with 1095 powder, and I've never really tested the edge holding on it. I mean, most people are likely not going to use that knife, but technically you might be able to get some carbon diffusion into it. But the whole material is it has a little bit of nickel in it, so it'll give you a contrast, so it shows up with like a speckled pattern. It's kind of cool. And cool. I made a few knives out of it, and I like I said, I still have quite a bit of it, but it got to be there's just so much junk in that steel. There's chunks of wood and other stuff, and I've been having trouble with getting voids in it whenever I've made it, so it's not even worth trying to do anymore. Unfortunately, you guys know how it is. You spend all that time making something just to find voids, and you can't use it. So
it's just more historical reference or sentimental value to you. But I tell you what, Jason Fry is a great guy. I actually, here in Hartselle, Alabama, we had a historical building torn down. The Dairy Queen that had been standing there, the ice cream machines were sitting out front for the last 6 months, and I grabbed those, and I was going to sell those to him or trade them to him to make some knives, and thinking maybe he's got some of the space shuttle that came down in 2001 or whatever over Texas, and he hasn't responded back yet. But if you want to get a Dairy Queen knife, it's good. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Machines are always broken. Make better knives. Anyway, next question. How do you guys sharpen your knives? What is your method for sharpening a knife?
Canonian. That's what I use. My Canonian, or I have my
Bones of
Lansky.
my
Depends
enemies.
on what I'm doing. Yeah,
Well,
right.
speaking of Lansky,
2x7
I will say they are a
grind.
sponsor of the show, and I recommend a Lansky system to anybody that buys a knife. Other people may disagree, this, that, and the other, but for the average guy, there's no sense in going out and spending $600 on a sharpener or whatever it is on something automatic that can get away with you. Lansky runs soft enough and at your own rate that you can make a sharp knife out of it. So you guys visit Lansky.com. But anyway, you were saying that you've got a Canonian machine, and then you've also got Lansky sharpeners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my primarily. I'm not brave enough to do the Erick method yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, one day.
Well, speaking of that, Eric, what is your method?
Well, I mean, y'all see it a lot on the videos and everything. I'm sponsored by a company called Pro Sharpening Supply, and they send me just a ton of 1x30 belts from 800 to 1500, 2000, and then I got their stroppings and stropping belts and honing wheels and all that stuff. But yeah, I've got one 1x30 set up to where it is on its back, and I use that on to refine the edge. So I'll use like a 400 grit belt on the 2x72, set that, that little bevel, and then I'll go ahead and refine it with 800, 1000, and I'll either leather strop it or use the belt or my actual strop. But it's worked out. The hard part with this is knowing your angles for the bevels and all that stuff. I've been
Angles are
sharpening
everything.
knives as a hobby for 22, 23 years, and all my actual knives that I've purchased throughout the years, I've always done all the sharpening, and I've had all the different types of sharpeners that you could possibly get. I just choose to use the belts, and I know where I'm gonna be with what angle and everything, and I just stay consistent with it. But I'll tell you, that's
a lot
one
of
the biggest
people
things I get commented on.
A lot of people, I think, mess up when they're trying to get their angles. They just go to a sharpener and whatever they think it should be. But, we all know that, that 17, 25, 30, or wherever you are on yours, that it's pretty easy to sit and eyeball something at 90, take it to 45, and take it to 25 and drop it. I think people just need to take their time when they're freehand sharpening like that, and then go slow and with a soft touch, and they'll find what they're looking for and develop a style for it. Who else?
If
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Erick. If you're not good at keeping something consistent, like, you have to be able to really get that consistent motion over and over and over again, or you could be trying to do a 20 degree and you do 20, and then you do 18, and then you do 24, and then you do 16, and then you do 20. And so you're sitting there trying to get that burr and get everything to where it needs to be, but each time you go over it, you're doing a different angle. And that's why I do suggest people get stuff like the Lansky and things like that, because unless you're doing what I do, where I'm having to sharpen a 24-inch knife, you're not really doing that with a Lansky.
No.
But you can do that, and I do suggest people get kits like that, because it makes it a lot easier instead of doing the ridiculous
They don't destroy their
kits
knives.
they sell to you. Yeah, and you don't want to do the little kits they sell to you in Walmart or anything like that, where you're dragging your knife through it and doing all that. It just ruins your blades. So
A good knife you should never have to do that with anyway. But as I mentioned on a previous episode, that I purchased the sharpening attachment with the Ameribraid, and I have not even hooked it up yet. I'm still watching for videos to come out on it, and I haven't gone and bought any cheap knives to try it with yet. But
you're feeling kind of gun shy, huh?
Well, I don't. I've been, I just finished those final fleshers and a couple commission knives, so I did not want to take those to them. So I just haven't
trying
done
to
it
avoid
yet.
that BPS.
And that may be an incurable spreading case. It may just go through the whole digestive tract. Next thing you know, my mouth's all puckered up as well.
Well, that kit with the VFD and being able to go in reverse, man, I'd be using that in a heartbeat. Be able to crank it down.
Don't insult me. I'm just
sit
a
on
sissy
there
man.
with your man. It would be.
It's all in the
I plan
hips.
on
It's
getting
all
that
in the
kit.
hips. Well, good.
Yeah, that kit's awesome.
The Riot, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, that kit you got is pretty cool. But I take my rotary platen and run the grinder in reverse, and that's how I sharpen all my knives.
Does that do like a convex type sharpening like that? Am I saying that?
Yeah, that Ameribraid rotary platen, it has an actual platen and then that rubber belt that goes over
I've got
it.
one.
And then there's a section that's, I think that section's 10 inches. Then there's a section that's 8 inches. And then there's a section that's 6 inches without the hard backing. And, I just put it on the 8-inch area, kind of like this, maybe 45 degrees, and then run the grinder in reverse. And then I have one of those magnifying glass with a light, and I just stand under it like that, and so I can start to see that burr start to form. And then after I get the burr, then I'll start at a 220, then I'll go to a 400, and then sometimes a 600, and then I'll just leather strop it, or I'll put it in a Lansky and take a diamond stone and strop it.
Yeah. You've got some great looking. I've seen your knives finished, and they look good. Ethan, tell us the magic.
Well, I mean, was the question specifically sharpening it from the beginning, or
I guess it would be more towards sharpening it at the end as a finished final product.
Okay. Oh, because I mean, I basically do the same thing that everybody else does. I have a 1x30 belt grinder I built specifically for it, but really all I use it for is with a leather belt to strop the edge, and I just do it on the. Yeah. I normally just use a 120 first, and then I go to a 30 micron. Then I go to the leather belt, and then. But when it comes to resharpening, I actually use a ceramic hone, and I can restore an edge so multiple times with that, and that's what I like to tell a lot of my customers to buy with their. You ever buy a knife, get a ceramic hone, and I have my kitchen knife I haven't actually sharpened in 3 years. I've just only used that.
What brand hone, Ethan?
I don't even remember. It's some Japanese one. It doesn't have any markings on it.
What is this?
No, you're supposed to say aha. So what do you got there, Otis? Here, you're holding something up for the listeners to see.
Honing ceramic. It's not really a sharpening steel or honing steel. It's a ceramic, like Ethan was saying. This is my
Is
favorite.
it hardened?
My favorite little thing to resharpen a knife at home. It's not that it really needs to resharpen. It's just to bring back that.
Yep.
You look like a little bald Luke Skywalker in our video now.
Like mini-me.
Yeah, a little mini-me with a lightsaber.
One.
Chip's going to be busy on Photoshop when we're all
Yes,
done.
I am.
I'll tell you, the nicest thing about being a knife maker, not say the nicest, but if you're doing anything with your own chef's knives, if you have them, because my shop's at my house, if I ever feel like I need to do anything, I'll go out there, honing wheel, and I go back in and cut.
Yeah.
Like, it's so nice having that at your house.
Yeah, my wife will use one of the
house.
chef knives, and she's like, hey, this needs a little touch up, and I'll run out leather strop. Doom, doom. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, with our kitchen knives, I've got a ceramic whatchamadoodle. What do you call it? Bar,
Stone.
stone, whatever you held up there, Otis, or your lightsaber. I've got one of those. Does a wonderful job, and I haven't had to do anything else either. But Otis, you haven't mentioned your proprietary stuff on this entire episode.
Oh.
No Pinto
Yeah.
sauce.
Well.
There we go. We had to say it.
Well, Pinto sauce. Here
This
we go.
segment brought to you by
brought to you by
Pinto
Pinto
sauce.
Saucy.
Are you,
Get it anywhere.
So Chip, so that stuff that you made to protect the blade, are you calling that chip sauce? Chip's
Chip and
knife
Dale
dip.
sauce.
That is
Chip's knife dip.
That Shegman blade butter. Shegman blade butter. I won't be selling
Chip and
that.
dip.
Yeah, I won't be
Chip and
selling
dip.
that. But really, what it is, chips dip. What you can go out online and you can find lots of different recipes and this, that, and the other. And I seem to find one that people are using the most. And whether it's right or wrong, you guys, you can tell me now if you want. But it's bees. It's all 1:1:1 beeswax, turpentine, and raw linseed oil, and seems to be working great. I mean, I haven't been using it that long, but like I said, Pinto's knife didn't melt.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I don't know about the turpentine. That's
Well, I've been using some stuff that somebody gave me that was making cutting boards, and I'm probably gonna make some of it and have it. I don't know if I'll have it for the Louisiana show. Maybe I'll make a batch and put it in tins and give it with folks. But that one was 3:1 beeswax to 3 parts mineral oil, 1 part beeswax. So it's food safe. And since I've got chef knives, I probably wouldn't tell somebody to put turpentine on the chef.
No. And actually, somebody emailed me and asked me about that, and I said no, I would not do that. Use your wrist. But the thing is, the turpentine, what it does, the turpentine keeps it from drying out.
Yeah.
Keeps the material from drying out. Certainly, when you put it on the blade, it keeps it from drying out as well. But I was buying a lot of gun oil that I was putting on them, and I didn't want to pay for 2 ounces of a material that somebody deserves whatever they get for it. I've just been always kind of a DIYer, and I had all this leftover beeswax from my old beard butter days, and now I'm just going raw Viking. I don't, it is what it is. But
put that turpentine in your beard.
Yeah.
Just don't get near any open flames.
I actually use bacon fat in my beard, and you wouldn't believe the number of people like stand around.
Flies that follow you around.
Yeah, but it seems to be okay. So I haven't seen any issues with it. I saw several, and I'm not going through expensive gun oil, constantly doing that, because every time I handle a blade, and it may be excessive, it's an OCD thing. Every time I handle a blade or get moisture on it or whatever, before I put it away while I'm making it, I'll sit and throw some more oil on it like that. And I don't like to use WD-40 because it's really just a solvent, and you could use lots of other oils that are cheap. It just happened to be me wanting to play around and do that. That's all it was.
I'm just
gonna try the mineral oil.
Soaking my blades in hog lard.
Mineral oil in the beeswax is another one I read.
The hog lard.
Yeah.
I like the hog lard. that was awesome. Hey, I've got some of that. But no, I use mineral oil on my blades now. So I mean, I think that makes sense with the beeswax.
It's food safe as well.
And it's yeah. So I might actually try that mineral oil beeswax shindig.
So the mineral oil beeswax recipe was 1 to 2, 1 part beeswax, 2 parts mineral oil. Just so
that's I think what like the consistency of axe wax is, and to me that's too. It's too hard. And it's so, and then I came across some that was 4 to 1, and the 4 to 1 was too liquid, and like the perfect to me is the 3 to 1. It seems like, because it keeps a little bit better. It goes on nice and smooth, and then you can leave it and wipe it off really easily with the with the 2 to 1. It was almost like a. Yeah, it was almost like a car wax. Like it was, you had to like buff it off of there,
or like a ice skate wax, like if you're a hockey player.
Yeah. I used your suggestion, Chris.
I like that for shipping, though. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. Well, I've been the knives that I've mailed off, because all the humidity and not knowing what the shipper is going to do as far as losing and where it goes. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to put something on there that was a little more protective, that I felt better about once it hits the mail, and it has a nice turpentine pine smell when you get it. So once you wipe it down and wipe it off, you really don't smell it. It's just a very faint smell. I wouldn't go deer hunting with it, but I think it's okay to send to somebody. Otis here?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. You using olive oil?
No. I had a little bit of Militech left over, and I'll just put a couple of drops in there, and then I'll smear it and call it a day.
Mm-hmm. There was a stuff that's used for museums. What is that stuff? That paste that said it came out of Europe, or they used it on like armor and weapons and stuff in the English museums.
Oh man,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that big old grease. You'll find in
like
some
a white grease of some sort.
Vintage rifles and stuff. I mean, I got it right there. I can't.
I know what you guys talking about.
Yeah.
Ethan Lee,
all right, guys,
he's about to say something. I think he knows what it is.
Cosmoline?
There you go, Cosmoline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Got an expert on. Well, guys, we've been hitting the 2 hours and 4 minute mark, and it's just going by quick. I love these episodes. Not that they go by quick. It's just lots to talk about, and got some good questions. Real quickly, just short, what are we going to be doing the next couple weeks? I'm going to be traveling all over America, so not much knife making for me, but I'm going through the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina, so I plan on taking a fly rod and yanking some trout out of the water, and taking some knives that I love and taking some pictures of them with the mountain background. So
nice.
That's my plans. What are you guys doing? Erick?
Just working on the shop. I got to get it quote unquote kind of in the dry ish before Tuesday. Tuesday we have a 37% chance of rain, which means it's probably going to miss us. But I need to make sure that I get at least get the roof decking on there and start tying things together before 2x4s try to turn into S's. And I don't want that stuff warping. And I plan on having roof on it and at least the vapor barrier up on the walls come this next week, and then working on this sword and some I got to make a leather sheath for that big old buoy that I did that had the Paduk and the antler in the handle, the one that had the guard on it and everything. But yeah, I've got to make a sheath for that and send that knife to Belgium.
Oh, wow.
So that's gonna be interesting.
Erick Rivers,
getting
internationally renowned knife maker.
Yeah,
Has been.
Yeah, there was a lot of research to make sure that I could send it to him and it not get confiscated in customs.
Yeah, I had to do that with Norway.
They are really, really strict. They consider everything a damn weapon. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Send a broom. Yep, that's a spear.
How much it cost me like $100 to send something to Norway. What is it? Is it about the same for Belgium?
Not
$90?
$80. Yeah, it was
very similar.
$79.85.
Yeah,
and
takes right at 3 weeks for it to get there.
Yep.
That's what
So
I found out.
I'm making him a really good looking sheath. It's going to be kind of like the one I did with the kukri, but it's going to have a little bit of tooling, but it'll have that open area in the top. It'll have a strap, the belt loop that folds inside as opposed to outside. So it'll be a lot like the kukri one, just because you can't put that knife into a regular sheath. It's got too much recurve, and then the swedge on the top. So it's got to be like that.
I'm going to be stealing that design, by the way.
Yeah. Well, thank you. You make really good sheaths. I know you're criticizing yourself a lot with your sheaths, but you do a really good job. And I think you'll be able to do it justice.
Speaking of sheaths, how'd you like that black one I just made with the belt clip? I dig it. I dig it. I'm getting lots of compliments.
Really
Talking about the one for the scout carry?
Real nice.
Yeah.
Scout carry?
I was watching the guy on YouTube make one. You guys tell me who he is. He's got the website or the YouTube channel. Got to give him credit.
Holland Knives.
Yeah. I was watching him make one.
Who's that?
Holland Knives. He was showing. Look up the video or send me a request and I'll send it to you. He's making these beautiful clip knives, and I've ordered the clips, and they came in today. I got a couple of them, then I got some regular clips because those are really cool. But man, I was digging that design. So there's a place for it for that type of design. Typically an EDC, something small you can put in your pocket or whatever. But it's really cool.
Yeah.
What do you got
ordered
going on,
some of
Joey?
those.
Did you? Good deal. What do you? Well, what do you got going on, Joey?
Not too much. Just gonna be still working on some knives for the Louisiana Knife Show, and that's about it. Got back from vacation. Was grateful that we were able to take a vacation. Took a couple of vacations, but other than that, just working on knives and spending time with the family.
Very nice sandcastle I saw out there on social media. With the family.
Yeah, you
Good
like
job, Dad.
You like
Good-
that, huh?
Good job, Dad. Otisir, what's going on in Laurel, Maryland? I almost say Laurel, Mississippi every time because I used to work there, but Laurel, Maryland.
Same old. I guess I'm just going to keep on fading people. Working on a couple of new designs that I've just drawn this week.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, new handle design there. A couple more of them.
Maybe you have to be more optimistic and, just tell them you shall pass. Just bring me a good car that shall pass.
The other day I was talking to this customer, and he was like, "Oh, thank you for passing my car." I said, "Yo, man, it ain't me. It's the car. If the car passes, it passes." Yes.
Now you're just supposed to say thank you and have a blessed day, but that's fine.
I try.
I
try, but when it fails, they blame me as well. So
Nobody will ever understand your pain, Otisir, except us.
But I have fun. I have a lot of fun.
You do.
Yeah.
And you call me whenever you're driving home because I enjoy those catching up with you. It's a blast.
Will do.
Matthew, you can call me too anytime. I enjoy talking to you, all of you, but
Yeah.
What's going on with you the next couple of weeks? You said you're drawing knives. I see.
Yeah. I got a picture I'll show too. This is.
Yeah, I saw that one. Really nice. Beautiful
Yeah,
drawing, beautiful design. You do that freehand, or you are using the computer?
I do it freehand. And I have a bunch of versions until I get to the one that I like.
He was using a children's light table.
Oh yeah. I told my wife I saw that. I'm like, oh, I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Other than that, I got a couple of leather projects I still need to finish.
Your leather work's looking great.
Thank you.
Don't beat yourself up. It looks good.
Yeah, I got a hole I got to put down here for the lanyard. I got to finish the top strap for the dangler. But other than that,
You got a
So
ferro
you're
rod
going
as
to
well?
eat.
I'm sorry.
The ferro rod holder was nice touch.
Yeah.
Let me say this though: you're forever going to hold yourself in comparison to that beautiful sheath you made for that dagger. So when you've done something like that, that's just where you're stuck the rest of your life.
Yep,
Right.
I agree.
That's definitely the milestone I need to get over when it comes to leatherworking, because I think I really set the bar for myself on that one, and now I dialed it back a little bit. So.
Well, you do beautiful work.
Well, thank you very much.
Chris, what's going on?
Oh, just I got a couple business trips over the next couple weeks, but they're only for like a day or two, so should be able to spend some time in the shop. Finishing up some chef knives. I'm making a LSU one, which hopefully will sell in Louisiana.
Can you
Target-
scratch Roll
hit your
Tide
target
underneath
audience.
it for me?
No,
you scratch
I'm
it?
not
No?
going to do that. No.
It's
And
almost
then
football season.
I talked to Sarah today, and so we've got a one she's going to make with some cactus and some purple stones, and that one should look pretty cool too. So we'll see. And then I've got this. It's like I call it almost like a mini kukri, but a mini kukri is still a pretty darn big kukri, right? Like the one Erick did it's about that size. That I came up with a design a while back, and for a neighbor, and I've been kind of putting it off, and got it all shaped up, and I did some file work on it, did some fullers, which are always interesting. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Matt, on yours.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
And
Without a
then
mill?
so just and so need to try to do. I have the fullering attachment jig for my Broadbeck, so it definitely helps. But I'll work on that a little bit, and like I said, crank out a few more knives for Louisiana.
Looking forward to seeing them. If you run into some trouble finding those purple stones, I know that Rich was saying he was going to be processing some purple stones. I think they're wax, but they'll do fine if you.
He's going to process that Crayola.
He's gonna process them.
Purple Crayolas.
He's going to be one of those Play-Doh machines.
So
Play-Doh
guys-
machines that we had as a kid.
It's crunchy.
They got about a 4-hour journey.
Yep.
Yeah. So, guys, as you know, we've got the Maker's Mark. We've got the great Ethan Lee. Everybody comes on as great, but Ethan is a great guy. Thank him for his service, and this is where we take a vote of 6. I hope it's not a hung jury. Ethan will have to break the tie. Is Ethan a Knives Templar from here on out?
Yes, sir.
Aye.
So.
Co-host anytime?
Yeah, man.
Everybody that agrees, say aye.
Absolutely.
Aye.
All right, Ethan, you're the team.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming.
You are
and-
forever a team member. You can come on anytime you want to, Ethan. And we've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I hope you've enjoyed the show today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're just a
Hey,
bunch of shop guys just hanging out. And
But before we send Ethan off, and he's been so gracious to come on. Ethan, don't you have your own? You have a podcast as well. If you want to give that a plug to any of our listeners that
that's
need
right.
something else to listen to while hand sanding because they've run out of the 2 hours that we put out.
Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. So myself, Mike Rizzo, and Garrett Elting, we have a podcast called Enlisted Craftsman, and it's we haven't been recording any episodes for a while. A couple of us had some stuff go on, and we just kind of took a break, but we're basically 3 veterans that are all knife makers, and we actually all met from Forged and Fire. So, give us a listen. It's on most major platforms.
All right.
It's a great podcast. I've listened. I listened to a few episodes, and you guys are straightforward and certainly have a voice for podcasting as well. So, And personalities and a voice for it. It's wonderful. So, guys, with all that being said, that completes this episode of the Knives Templar. Thank you all for being here today. I want to thank all of our listeners for coming back. If you're a new listener, go back and listen to some of our past episodes, because you're going to find out it's one thing we love. We love life, we love fellowship, and we love making knives. See you next time.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right, guys, it's the after show, and we've been rocking here for about 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I'm sure we're all ready to go get that late night snack.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Chris and all you guys, whenever you talk about the company that focuses on their marketing more than belts, that's right.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Absolutely.
It makes me
they have a
smile.
great marketing department.
Oh yeah.
And they run sales, and I got burned by them last year. I ended up, it was like a Black Friday deal, and I put in an order for some stuff, and it was 15% off instead of the normal 10. And I did not hear from them for a week and a half, and I finally called them, and they said, "Oh, well, it's your order still hasn't shipped. Like, we're just backed up." Like, okay. Like, there was no, and at that point there was no, we apologize for that, here we're going to waive the shipping cost, or, we'll throw in some extra belts, or here's a coupon code for something else. Like, nothing. There was no attempt to make it right. And I ended up having to call them again. And I mean, it was a good almost 2 weeks until I actually got until they shipped.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? And I've got some bad belts from them before, and they've been really good about replacing them. I got some stuff that was cupped one time, some X-weight 220s, and they were cupped, and they replaced them. No big deal. But it was right about that time I got frustrated, and then Sean happened to reach out to me from Phoenix, and I was, he was talking about how great the customer service, how they pride themselves on that. And that's what I work in customer service. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, like, let's do this. And I've been happy ever since. So.
Yeah, I gotta try some of that of Phoenix abrasives there, man. It's I'm almost out of belts. Need to get me something, and I'll give it a try. See what they've got, and because I've been using a lot of Norton's, the Blaze oranges. It works good for me. Been using it for a while, but I'll see if I can get something.
Yeah.
Better.
I've been using
carry a lot of VSM. Yeah,
Incinerators,
VSM.
yeah. The VSMs.
I've been using
the purple Boras are good too.
Ameribraids, whatever their company is that they use for their abrasive belts. I just bought 3 packs of every different size. It was like $300 for belts, but their customer service is so great at Ameribraid, kind of like you talking about Phoenix. I'm just going to get them here. But Phoenix being a sponsor, I am definitely going to reach out to them with my next order. And starting off with some of those aluminum oxide belts, just go ahead and get me a stack of those. But I want to give them a chance and support them. I haven't done that yet, so shame on me.
I've been ordering.
I've got
got a bunch of
I've got a
Rhino
local-
Wit.
Yeah, I've got a local machining place here that carries 2x7 or 2x72 belts, all the aluminum ones. So I just get them from them because I can get them in like 25 packs, and they're like $1.90 a belt. And a lot of my like 50 grit up to like 220 I'll get from them.
Aluminum
They
oxide.
come in huge. Yeah, they come in like huge, just rolls of them. So I've actually got I've got a grinder that I'm going to be making at the end of this year that is actually a 2x180. And so I've got 2x180 belts, and I've got like, I think it's like 45 36 grits, and then some 50 grits and some 80 grits, and they just gave them to me because nobody had those. So they just said, oh, you use belts like this? Okay, cool. And they just gave all those belts to me. So I was like, I've built 2x72s before. I'm going to go ahead and just make them one. And if you've ever seen Blackbeard projects, I don't know if y'all have seen any of the stuff that he does. He's got one of them that he made. So whenever he's using his big contact wheel, it's on that. And that belt goes around that contact wheel, goes almost to the ground, and then comes all the way back up. And you can just sit there, and those belts last forever. But, I'm thinking about building that. And
I can only imagine the bird's nest and the twist that would come in a 2x180 J-Flex belt.
Oh, man.
Nightmare.
A Herms 346, was it MB?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to roll. Oh, I got somewhere I got to be actually. But
Ethan,
thanks for
thanks
having
for
me
being on the show,
A lot
brother.
of fun.
We'll have you on again sometime.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. Have a good night, Ethan.
So, hey, guys, I got a couple things here before I jump off as well. Number one, I love the Norwegian culture and have several friends in Norway, and I learned something beautifully this week you may have seen. I like to say fartshumpa now.
Oh, yeah, fartshumper. I saw that.
Fartshumpa.
Fart humper, huh? I like that.
It means
Speed
means speed bump. Even all of my Norwegian friends think it's funny. They like to say fartshumpa.
Watch out
most
for
of
the
them
fart hopper.
And Eric, if you look at all of my video descriptions in YouTube, I always believe in giving credit where credit's due. I looked at how you were describing your videos and putting tags and stuff in yours this week. And while we have two different visions for how we do videos, you'll notice that mine are a little similar to yours. Not exactly, but if somebody was saying it's copyright violation, I've just changed names and sponsors and this, that, and the other. But I wanted to say I thank you for that because realistically what I'm trying to pick up is some additional viewers and learning to go in that area. So, I copied you, and you can look at it. Which one's that?
I watched that video, the
both
one that
of
you
them.
did explaining your
The
knife
two I
and all
saw,
that.
yeah.
I think you're doing really good with your videos. So you're doing good.
Well, what I'm getting ready to do, and I've got a friend that's going to help me. Hey, Otis, are you ready for this? I used to do video production in high school with a Super 8.
With a Super 8? Dang.
With a Super 8.
Kind of showing your age there.
I am, baby. No, what I want to do is I love
Like
what
a young Larry Flynn.
Okay.
Have you seen the movie Super 8?
So what I like to do...
There's a little sci-fi movie
Go ahead.
called Super 8. There's a sci-fi movie called Super 8, and a lot of people they had no clue the reason behind the title, because it's like a alien invader type movie, but the title was called Super 8, and nobody knew. They were clueless that was the camera they were using the whole entire time. So it's like, I think that's funny. That's funny, and it was based in the 80s and all that. So it was cool.
Well, I don't use like porn music or anything to my videos on the Super 8 back then, but whatever. It's probably some Andy Gibb or something. No, we did stuff in high school, and we walked around the school making movies, and then we cut the tape and did all that. It was nothing like today.
That's awesome. Doing that.
I don't know what. So anywho,
I'll just give you some theme music, dude.
Well, I'll let you when I'll send the video to you, and you can do the dub in for me. But what I want to do is kind of branch in, and I've been looking at it. I love what Michael over at Trolsky does with some of the video he's doing, and while I don't have that cinematography experience and this, that, and the other, I've got some friends. Actually, my son, through some guys that did video and stuff in college, and I'm trying to put a couple things together like that and learn. So when I do those videos, I make them a little bit more dramatic here or there. And right now, it's just when I do those, I do it really, number one, to advertise what I do, but also I provide a copy of that video on the knife page for each person I make a knife for, and they've got a page that they can go back to see their knife being made. So that's cool.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you for that.
before we go here,
Definitely out there
two
selling
things here.
yourself.
One for Chip, if you get into archery or crossbow hunting for deer and whatever.
Yes.
My personal recommendation, if you're gonna go with a mechanical broadhead. For me, the one that works the best was the one called Schwecker. Amazing.
Okay.
Schwacker, yeah.
Amazing exit wound. It travels
Schwecker.
really good.
What do you recommend on a crossbow?
Same
Because my
thing.
first season, I'm just okay.
Oh,
My
I
first
was
season,
gonna
I'm just
say
going to buy a
Godzilla.
crossbow.
Same thing. I mean, I've shot deer that ran maybe 5 yards, and
Okay.
I had a field that ran maybe a 20 or 30, but normally 8-second tops, and they're done, right?
Well, I'll tell you, I could have gone deer hunting last year, and I didn't because I didn't want to wound an animal, and I wanted to learn everything I could about the sport over the course of a year. So this year, I'm not going to get a bow. I'm going to buy one, but I'm not going to go hunting with one. But I will buy a crossbow because I've used them, and it's just like shooting a gun.
As long
for
as
the
you
most part.
put your arrow or bolt within that 8-inch circle
Yeah.
of the kill zone, done.
Yeah, but I might do like the guy did in a Deliverance
la
and shoot the
vista.
thing and have it stuck in my sides. Dun, 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 dun,
And
dun,
then
dun, dun.
the next thing before we go, I mean, I finished this little bird and trout that I was working on, and I don't know if I'm gonna post it. I mean, I don't know if I like the way it came out, the final product. But, kind of looks all right,
Well, it's beautiful.
Dude.
Yeah.
but I don't know.
that looks great.
And did a little coffee
We are
action
one of our worst
there.
enemies, man.
Where'd you get that sand line?
New Jersey Steel Baron.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it laminated steel or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be using it again.
Man, every time I look-
The stainless cladding is very gummy, and when you're grinding
Yeah.
or sanding that thing, you feel kind of
What is it? 416.
I guess with the 52 and 100 core, it's okay.
Man,
It's okay. I mean,
Okay, it came out.
I'm looking
awesome.
on their site. It looks like it's 410.
410.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
Man,
all right.
I don't know what you're talking about, Otis here. That thing looks freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Too
So,
hard on ourselves.
Does look good.
I don't know. It's. I was hoping for something
say
different,
post it.
and
Post it.
Post it. Hey guys, we don't have to get off, but I'm going to go ahead and click the record button because everybody's listening to this. They are squirming in their car seats right now, looking for a 7-Eleven to go take a leak and get a new big gulp. We're gone. Have a good one, guys.
Brought to you by Porkhouse Productions. Oinky oinky oinky.